than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Live at the Bike, brought to you by the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California, the first and only webcast of real action cash game poker. My name is Barty Hansen. As always, I am here with Tuckster Dave Tuckman. It's Tuesday, and the normal game we do on Tuesdays is 300 to 500, no limit, 5 blinds. We're going to do that game tonight, Dave. We had a $500 hose tournament tonight, so that didn't bring in a whole lot of people. Yeah, so it's not really jam packed. It's still packed, but we're going to spread the 3 to 5 game. So it's going to be fun, and this is usually a game that most of our viewers can relate to. Yeah, because it's a restricted bind game. But it's really the best restricted bind game in town. Definitely. So let's head over to the table, and let's start this thing up.
Let's do it. Seat number 1, we've got Aaron. And Aaron, I've seen him play before. Not quite sure how he plays. We'll be interested to see how he plays tonight. Seat number 2, we've got Craig Wong. That's Craig Wong. And once again, we've seen Craig Wong also. He's wearing a Phil Simms jersey. Kind of cool. Seat number 3, we've seen a lot of him this month. He's in here for the Winning of the Green tournament. That's Chuck.
Yep.
And Chuck's a pretty solid player. He'll mix it up. He plays aggressive. He plays it kind of solid. I like his game. Seat number 4 is going to be Parviz. And right now, I think he's actually busy doing something else, but he'll be in a minute. Seat number 5, we've got, I think that's Jaime. Jaime? Okay. I'm going to guess, right?
Yeah.
Looks like a Jaime.
It's either that or Jamie, but I think it's Jaime.
Yeah, it is Jaime. Okay, and Jaime's a pretty solid player also. I mean, he really does not, when he's putting chips in there, he usually has something pretty good. Yeah. Pretty aggressive player. Seat 6 has also been locked up, we see, but we do not know who it's going to be. Find that in a second. Seat number 7, another familiar face. We've got Craig V. Craig's also a solid player. This game's filled with some solid players here. Seat number 8, we've got John Vorhaus.
There he is.
And
the legend.
Yeah, anybody familiar with him, obviously. Yeah. Poker author and poker expert. He's got about $500 in front of him, John Vorhaus. And seat number 9, we've got George. And that is not George Y. That is not the Greek poker god. That is Abercrombie George.
Yep. I was playing with Abercrombie George the whole afternoon today. And for some of the people that actually wrote into us and said, well, what happened in the, what happened with George at the end of last night's show? Well, C5 didn't really say anything bad to him. He just George just had a delayed tilt factor.
Yeah, you know what? I was talking to George, and I think George said that he thought the guy slow-rolled him a little bit. But either way, I actually had a conversation with George about it, and I was like, George, man, I was like, you can't do that. I was like, if there's a player in the game that is giving you action, I was like, you got to do your best to kind of suppress your anger and your emotions because you don't want to piss that guy off. You want him to stay there with your money. So obviously, by getting in a fight with him, the only thing that happened was he took your $7,000 and went home.
Right. Linked around here, we got 5-way action. We need to see John Vorhaus' cards over there in seat 8.
Yeah, ace there in seat number 2. He's got top pair.
Ace 6-8 with a couple spades, and seat 2 is going to lead out with ace 9 here. And it looks like
I think he'll take this down.
Is going to... Yeah, I don't think Aaron's going to get involved here with Jack 9.
Don't think so. But a lot of times people will say that they're playing with, let's say they play with who they perceive as a donkey. They perceive they're playing with a fish. And they'll start berating him. And I've seen people do that online. I've seen people do it in person. And I just don't understand what the heck you're trying to achieve. I mean, do you really want to play with all players that play like you? Right. Because then you won't win any money, folks. If somebody plays like a donkey or a fish, the only thing you should be doing is becoming friends with them and making them as happy as possible so they keep coming back.
Right. You don't want to make them uncomfortable.
Right. I never understood it. I'm like, it really annoys me, actually. We actually used to see Larry Gilbert used to berate some of the customers here.
Right.
For that.
When he was working as a prop. That was great.
Yeah, and you're like, what are you doing, buddy?
Yeah. C2 is going to bring this one in for a raise to 20. He's got pocket aces right away. Under the gun. And Chuck is going to call with 8. That's George over there with 8-5 offsuit in seat 9. And we're heads up here. 10-10-9 on the flop. And Craig is going to lead with the aces. George has kind of missed this flop here. Again, 10, 10, 9 with a couple clubs. Craig has bet 40.
And this is pretty much fold territory. I mean, that's not obviously a good flop for 8-5 offsuit.
Yep, and he folds. And Craig is going to take it down there. Again, if you want to keep the show interactive like we always like to, you can email us at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions, always appreciated. You also can follow a live thread that is started on the internet by going to 2plus2.com, spelled out. Go over to forums under Tournament Poker, World Poker Tour, etc. Official Live the Bike thread, March 14th.
Wow, time is flying. Little update also, after the show, after Live the Bike ended last night, actually, they stopped the 10-20 game, that particular one that is, and they started a $1,000 shootout.
That's right.
Now, Mo has actually kind of done it every Monday. He does this $1,000 shootout, which is basically a sit and go. Sometimes it's 10 players, sometimes it's 15 players. And George actually came in second place. Corporation Mike came in first place.
Wow. George came in second?
Yeah.
I thought Mo had said the guy in seat 5 made some money. Oh, maybe I
No,
misunderstood.
he actually made no money. Normally they split it up 70%, 30% first and second, but oftentimes they'll put a save in there for third place.
It was a straddled pot, and it's limped around 4 ways. And Chuck is going to come out and lead here with Jack 3 with bottom pair. He bets 20, and that's going to be enough. And I have a feeling, hopefully this lineup, I heard that we were getting Mo. Hopefully he's going to loosen this game up, Dave, because we might see some tight play here tonight
I can always jump out there and play.
from this lineup.
I'm ready. I'm willing. Yeah, exactly. Put me in, coach.
Now, Chuck is a player
That's a
that
great
likes
song.
to raise a lot in position with pretty much, not necessarily superior holdings. I actually came over the top of him on Friday night in a 5-10 game with ace-8 offsuit, Dave. And I ended up winning the pot against him. Flop came jack high, I led, he called, turn was an ace, I checked, he bet, I called, river was a blank, check, and he was not pleased when I turned over ace-8 for the winner. Seat 5 here is going to call the straddle by seat 4. Seat 4 straddle with deuce 3 offsuit. And George is going to raise it up here to 40 with 9-7 offsuit. A little more dead money in this pot because it's straddled. Now seat 5 there, Hami, he's got king queen suited. Let's see if he's going to make this call out of position. Heads up. That is really tight play there, Dave. He gets
Yeah,
away
pretty
from
tight.
it.
Well, we get some solid players at this table. Nobody wants to give loose action.
Yeah.
So anyway, first place last night ended up George and the Greek Poker God, and Corporation Mike ended up just doing a chip count chop. And I believe Corporation Mike won $5,800, and Georgian won $4,200. So I think that almost broke Georgian even for the day after his poor showing on Live at the Bike.
Interesting, Kev Math, who starts with right over on 2+2, started an ESPN Fantasy League bracket tournament. League name Live at the Bike fans, password Bartgasm. Dave and I will both enter that for sure.
That's awesome.
On the internet, that's probably the least.
Ace Queen of Spades for seat number 9. That's George, Abercrombie George there.
Seat 7 brought this one in for a raise with 6-7 of clubs to 15, and George is re-raised here. He's got Ace Queen of Spades there, not Ace 3. And Craig is going to make the call here out of position.
Wow, nice flop for Ace Queen of Spades.
Jack 8 deuce here. He's got the nut flush draw with overcards. He bets.
Yeah, Craig's in bad shape here, obviously.
I do not think that Craig is going to get involved with it.
Apparently not. So like Bart said, actually, the 2006 Winning of the Green tournament is about halfway. We're halfway into it here. Today's tournament was 4:15 p.m., and we had a hose tournament, which is Hold'em, Omaha, High-Low, 7-card stud, and stud 8 or better. And it was a $500 entry tournament. We have about 100 players in the tournament. Not a bad showing at all for a $500 hose tournament. Interestingly, tomorrow should be a huge turnout. Tomorrow is a no-limit Hold'em $300 buy-in tournament with one optional rebuy. And that starts at 4:15 p.m.
That's going to be a biggie.
And if you want to play in that one, either register online or come in early. You don't want to sit online at 4 o'clock.
Limped around here 5 ways. So it's going to be a $25 pot. Again, we're playing 5-5 no limit, 300-500 game. King 3-9 here with a couple of hearts.
Nice flop for George in seat number 9.
Right, not George Y. And George Y was, of course, from last night.
I know. I'm on bed.
George is going to bet in here with middle pair, and middle pair is good anyways. He also has the flush draw.
Best hand, best draw, huh?
Yeah, and he's going to take it down there. Yeah, tomorrow night is going to be crazy. Of course, we do our 25-50 no-limit hold'em game, unrestricted buying. Again, this game is $300 to $500, Dave. It's a $300 minimum game. We're playing $500 maximum game. The yellow chips, which are usually used in this game, are $5 chips. The blinds, again, are 5 and 5. And it usually gives you the best bang for your buck because you get 100 times the big blind in a restricted buying game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the restricted buying games in general, but oftentimes I'll jump in this game while I'm waiting for a little bigger game. It's a very good game to make some money in. And since you do get so much money compared to the blinds, you can play. There's some play in there.
Absolutely, and then say if you double up, well, now you get 1,000 with $5 blinds. I mean,
yeah.
There you go. So looks like it's going to get folded around. We got an interesting email here from Kyle Ritchie from Aberdeen, Washington. I want to get to it in a second here because I want you all out there to help us out because I don't necessarily know if I can give the right answer. Limped around here, ace 6-3 on the flop, rainbow. It's missed everyone. But you know what? It gets checked over to Craig W. in C2, and he's going to bet in position with the ace out there, and he's going to take it down.
Mr.
Basically,
Wong there.
Kyle Ritchie was talking about how he lives in a small town, Dave, and he finds that he can get to main event satellites for the World Series of Poker. Like, he enters a sub-satellite, gets to the main event, but can't quite get a seat. And he was wondering about what other packages are currently spread out there online in terms of other events. I know PokerStars does a lot of things. I know Party Poker does some other
I
things.
mean, so not necessarily winning the $10,000 package for the main event, but winning, say, a $5,000 package to a $3,000 event or something like that.
Yeah, not necessarily in the World Series. So if somebody wants to help us out, maybe there's a website that gives a breakdown to where all of the, those types of things are held. We've got a straddle here by seat number 9. And seat 1 limped in here with ace queen, and we're heads up. Jack 6-7. George has got top pair here.
Yeah.
And he checked it from up front, and Aaron bet 20 here. See how George is going to play it. He check called here with the Jack 9. Here we go to the turn. Turns the king, and now he's got a flush draw with his spade draw. Aaron takes the free card with his gut shot, and the river's a jack, and George has made trip jacks.
You wonder if the 10 of spades comes out. If Aaron gets in trouble there, if he doesn't see the backdoor spade draw.
George is going to come out and bet. 40. With trip jacks, he bets 40. Yeah, you're right. I mean, backdoor spades, and it would give seat number 1, Aaron, the nut straight, obviously.
Yes. Now, obviously, I'm not a big online player. I will try to get some of my seats online just because it's convenient.
Right.
But I got to tell you, after going to the World Series and spending 6 weeks there last year, my favorite way to win is
super satellite there.
Yeah, is they have great super satellites there.
Yeah.
They have great mega satellites there, and they have great single, sit and go satellites there.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that is you can win these tournament chips and use them for any event you want to.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like. So I think, I mean, hey, to me, the best way to do it is, play some poker online. Almost make like yourself like a little piggy bank, savings bank for the World Series. Save up a couple of $1,000s for expenses, and maybe bring $3,000 or $4,000 for satellites. Hey, if you're a good enough player, you should be able to win some chips there in satellites.
Button's going to raise here with 6-5 offsuit, and George in seat 9 is going to call him a blind with king 5 suited.
And checks blind.
He checks blind. He actually has the pre-flop razor dominated, and look at this. He's hit top and bottom, and Craig has a piece of it. He's got bottom pair, and he's going to bet.
Well, pretty straightforward.
Make it 16.
And it looks like a $30 bet by Craig, and George is going to check raise the minimum. He's going to make it 60 to go. So a check raise 30 more.
And Craig's as close to drawing dead as possible.
Wow, and Craig's going to make the call, and if he catches a 6 or a 5, he's in big trouble here.
And he's running cards here, running straight or running full house.
150. The turn's a 7.
And he's now drawing dead.
But look at this. It counterfeits George, though. And now George is going to lead for 100. Now, if Craig had ace-king here, he would have a better hand.
Yeah, well, if this was, we were talking big stack, deep stack poker.
Yeah.
And George then either called or raised up to 300. King 5 would almost have to the muck, wouldn't it?
If Craig made a move here or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Well, there's nothing that Craig can beat here except a pure bluff, obviously. He is drawing dead, as we can see.
And you start thinking of hands that, possibly that George would make the move with and maybe go 6-8, 4-6.
But he shows the king 5 there, and he is going to take it down. Email here from the Duke in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm going to talk about a little feature that we're going to have on the website coming up. We already have some definition of terms on there, but it seems like we keep getting more and more emails. He talked about, he's asking, can you define an overcall? And we actually went over that last night. We'll do it again briefly, but that would be something that's added to the website, dude.
Yeah, if you go to liveatthebike.com, on the left-hand side, there's a little section called As Seen on Live at the Bike.
Yeah.
And if you click on that, we have like the definition of, say, why people run the river more than once.
Right.
Straddling and so forth. We're going to try to put kind of a whole glossary of terms and definitions and
Basically,
terminology.
Usually when someone says overcall, they're talking about making a call against a better from up front when someone is called in between.
Right.
And say, you called again and 2 people called in between you. It's actually overcalling
An
2
overcall.
people right now. And basically, he said, what is the strategic value to that? It's not necessarily a strategic value question. It just means that your hand has to be that much stronger because you're calling 2 people. Normally, in a spot like that, 1 pair is not a hand that you're going to overcall with.
Right. I mean, it's one of those times where, when you're only calling 1 person, if you put that person on a bluff, you can call with as little as, say, ace high sometimes, even if you really put your opponent on a bluff. But let's say that somebody calls in between. Well, there's obviously 0 chance that both players are bluffing.
Right.
The first player might bluff him. The guy who called him obviously has some sort of a hand. So,
pretty good chance he's going to have to fold.
so forth.
No. No, he's got a hand this time. I know it.
King Queen here for seat 5. He's going to limp in.
35.
Cool post from 2+2 on Mark Summers talking about WTs in Albany.
All right.
Great bar.
Let's have a little fun.
Well, George is going to raise it up here. He's playing loose. He's got a lot of dead money in a straddle pot. He raises it with Queen 10. And look at Chuck. He says, I'm going to have a little fun. He's going to call with Jack 5 offsuit. Now we got some action now. It was I think it was a $40 raise. So the pot's going to be $160 here. And George is the pre-flop raiser on the button. Wow, he flops top 2 pair. Not a hand that you're going to really screw around with. Queen 10-8, and they hit a lot of other people. Jamie's got King Queen. And Chuck is going to bet in with a gut shot here to the 9.
Yeah, and Aaron's obviously got a gut shot to the Jack plus backdoor diamonds.
Now, seat 5, how do you pronounce this name again?
Jaime.
What do you do with King Queen here when you get a raiser on the button, and now a guy bets into you and you're in between? Well, he's going to make the call. He doesn't have a gut shot yet. I mean, he's just got King Queen. He makes the call.
Yeah, he's got real no redraw.
So you got to think that George is going to raise here when you've got a solid player calling in between, and he does raise. And I think this is an absolute must here with this hand and this board.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want a player like Aaron sticking around. That's the kind of hand you're really scared of. He's got a gut shot. He's got a pair. Plus, he's got backdoor diamonds. A lot of cards can scare you.
George is going to make it 200 more here. Chuck was just kind of making a move at that pot. He folds. And I think that Hami is solid enough where I think he knows he's probably no good here with the King Queen.
What are you on?
Ham. Tell me how to pronounce it, Dave.
Jaime.
Jaime.
Like hi, May.
Jaime, okay. Well, it's 200 more over to Jaime.
Oh, Jaime.
It is Jaime.
Jaime?
And he's
Jaime.
going to fold.
If you had a 10, you do what?
Hello? Help?
Maybe
Anybody?
Donna can ask the guy to say his name.
Jaime. Jaime. Okay. Yeah,
Never have it.
exactly.
George takes it down. Seat 6 is new player Uriel. We're going to have
Kind of like Muriel, but Uriel.
Uriel and Jaime.
Yeah, Bart and I, we actually, until recently, we actually lived in a cave. So if your name's not like David, Michael, Bart, Jason, it's very difficult for us.
Button moves over here to seat 1. That's Aaron.
If you had a queen, you would have been in there. You had king queen.
It's funny talking about names. Aaron, you know the double A. Is there any other English word where there's this kind of just a regular hard A sound with a double A in it?
That was me. Yeah.
It's more of a German thing, isn't it? Aaron, I don't know where the origins of Aaron comes from, but I always thought that was interesting. Spelled with the double A.
Yeah, I don't know.
We got a raise here by George with the ace queen. How about Aardvark? There you go.
That's a good one. I mean, I can honestly say I've never really thought about it.
Parviz there is going to make the call with Jack 10 of hearts. And we are heads up. George against Parviz. About a $90 pot here. Well, Parviz has actually outflopped him, but I don't know if you're looking for that with Jack 10 of hearts. Heads up, and Ace Queen does not bet the flop. Well, on the turn pair's a king here. Parviz checks again, and it goes check, check, and the river here is the 9 of clubs.
And Parviz is going to win this.
Yeah, with Jack 10 there. Wow. You know, if George throws a bet out there on that flop, can Jack 10 make that call? Jack 10 of hearts, I mean.
Oh, on the flop, it's real difficult.
Yeah, even heads up, you know. Again, for those of you that just joined us, we're talking about KevMath started an ESPN Fantasy League. League named Live at the Bike Fans, password Bartguest. Dave and I will definitely join that. Check it out. Oh, there you go. And somebody on 2+2, bcook0823, has sent a link here, pocket5s.com, regarding, I guess,
World Series Poker Breakdown. I guess you can where to get your seats, basically.
yeah, maybe something like that.
Is it scheduled out next year? Yeah, I don't know. Not yet.
I think, yeah, this is great. This pocket5s.com shows World Series of Poker packages and what each site does for each package. You know, I think that this guy, again, was referring to the fact that he didn't necessarily want to get into the main event of the World Series. He was frustrated by that. But other events, like the EPT, the Europe Poker.
Well, I've seen a lot of those. I mean,
Yeah.
you just go to like special events at any of those poker sites. I've seen World Poker Tour type things. Or you can win
Australia
your seat, say,
Millions. I know that was a big thing. on
Yeah, or
Party
you can
Poker.
win your seat here to the Legends here at the bike.
Yeah.
Pocket 8's for John Borhaus in seat number 8. He makes it $15, I think, right?
Actually, it was just limped around here.
Was it? Okay, it
Yeah.
just looked like it was all together.
7-way action, so it's a $35 pot. Jack 5-3 here. Let's see if Warhouse maybe tries to take a stab at it facing one overcard.
That many players in there?
And he is. He's going to
Man,
bet.
wow.
He's going to bet 25.
Now, two players have 6-4, which are both open-ended straight draws here. Seat number 3 and seat number 4 both have 6-4.
Well, Chuck is going to make the call, and seat 4 makes the call.
Yeah, and both players have the same hand. Like I said, there they are.
Yeah. And we're heads up the 8s against the open-ended straight draws of seat 3 and seat 4. And again, you know, you wonder if Warhouse is going to put any more money in the pot. Well, the turn's a deuce,
And they both get there.
and they both make the straight. It gets checked over Warhouse, and he's going to bet again.
Wow.
I would figure, you know, maybe you would just kind of shut down with 8s there when you get called in 2 spots.
Well, the interesting thing is maybe you put one player on a weak spade.
And look at this. Chuck is going to raise here. And seat 4 immediately moves all in. Immediately. Both those players have the nuts here. And Chuck and Parviz both have a spade in their hand, which would mean that you are not worried about a 4-6 of spades free roll here.
Right.
They both have, one of them has the 6 of spades, one of them has the 4 of spades, and they're going to chop this one up. Yep. Again, you talk about playing deep stack there as the river pairs 5. Not saying that you never necessarily, mock the nuts straight there, but when you're really playing deep stack and you don't have one of the appropriate 2 flush in your hands,
right.
The other guy is on a definite free roll. He could be on a free roll, and you could be putting all your money in to at best chop, right?
Right. Definitely. I mean, there are times actually where if you think you have the same hand as somebody else, and if that player is really, and you're both very deep, you might even just call, kind of shake your head as if you're not real happy with it, and if the board pairs or the spade comes off, you can represent that, a full house or a flush. And who knows, if the player is aware enough, maybe you can even get him off the straight.
And yeah, there's another term we'll put up there, free roll. A lot of times people will email us about that too.
Now, it was interesting that John Borhaus bet twice with pocket 8s there. I was trying to say, one of those players, okay, you might put one of those players on spades, but isn't it likely that the other one might have jack?
Well, maybe, though, John was thinking if I bet enough, I can get a weak jack off that hand with my image.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes I play it that way. You never know.
You can sit on the air off the air.
We have pocket 8s here for seat number 7 now, and ace-king for John Borhaus.
Seat number 7 brought it in for 15, and John Borhaus called with ace-king offsuit. Seat 4 is going to come in the hand here with queen, deuce of diamonds. And seat number 6 is in there with 7-3 of hearts. We got 4-way action here. Jaime is not in the
Ooh,
hand.
there's a set from 8.
Ace 3-8 here. Craig, the initial pre-flop raiser's got a set of 8s, and he checks it, and Vorhaus is going to bet with ace-king. He's got top pair.
And Uriel's got a pair with a flush draw.
Yeah, this is huge for Uriel as well. He's going to make the call, and you'd imagine that Craig's going to make a big check raise here. Let's see.
We've got 3 pretty big hands here, folks. Ace-king, 8s, and a pair with a flush draw.
He raises here. He's going to make it 100. And again, you talk about, it's interesting how Craig played this hand. If you actually bet into John there, you don't necessarily know if John's going to bet. He might check, and you might let a dangerous free card come off on the turn. He bet, John might have raised there with the ace-king. You never know. But he chose to check raise it, and he did get a bet from John Vorhaus.
It's one thing that we always say. I mean, I've seen Brunson talks about it also. By betting into him, if he raises and then you re-raise him, he's committed more money.
And look at this, Vorhaus is going to move all in, and I think that this might bring Uriel in here for odds. I mean, the funny thing about ace-king here is that if you have ace-king, unlike ace-queen or, say, ace-king and a king flops, when you flop your ace, I mean, the only thing you're worried about is if the guy flopped a set. If he's got aces, well, more power to him, but can you almost not get away from this hand with these chip stacks?
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Turns a king. John's got 2 pair now, and the river's a jack, and Craig is going to double through there with 8s. Again, when I talk about ace-king and you flop a dry ace, that's really kind of a big hand, isn't it?
You look at that flop there. It's ace 8-3, completely unconnected, and John's got the king of hearts, just in case he's against hearts there.
Right.
It's one less out for his opponent.
Nice hand.
And I actually like the laydown by Uriel. A lot of times people will say, oh, with hearts, why not? He's getting 2-1. But how does he know one of his opponents doesn't have hearts?
Someone's got at least 2 pair, or a set, or bigger hearts.
Right. So suddenly your pair of 3s is garbage.
Yeah. But again, when I talk about ace-king can be really difficult to get away from on a dry ace-high board, Dave. Much easier to get away from ace-king with a king on board and facing a big check raise, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because again, you're only worried about just a set of aces, and again, how likely is that to happen if you have ace-king in your hand?
With a flop like that, you're basically looking at, okay, is there a chance my opponent has 2 pair? You wouldn't put him on 8-3.
Right.
So he's either got ace-8, ace-3, or he's got a set. Man, it's tough to get away from that hand. It really is.
And Vorhaus has got ace-king again, and he's going to raise this time. He's going to make it 20 to go, and he's going to get called here in several spots. 4-way action, $80 pot. John Vorhaus pre-flop raise. Now Parviz is in there with a dominated ace-jack. And there's the ace. Is Parviz going to get in trouble here?
Wow.
Ace-queen 5, and Vorhaus is going to lead. He's going to bet real weak here. He bets 30. And this is going to induce Aaron to raise with a draw. Well, actually, Aaron calls in between, and the button raises with ace-jack. And now Vorhaus has really almost played it like almost kind of a reverse check raise. He's bet weak, hoping that somebody came over the top of him, and it happened. And now he's come back over the top again.
Killer poker by John Vorhaus.
Yep. And now Parviz has got to look at it, and what can ace-jack beat right now?
Well, the only thing is that John has lost with pocket 8s. He's lost with ace-king. And we know that John wouldn't be tilting here, but does Parviz maybe think John Vorhaus is tilting a little bit here?
And Vorhaus has come back over the top for another, looks like, only 75. I think he's come back over the top for the minimum. It was a $30 bet, a call, a raise up to, I think, 75 more, and Vorhaus has mini re-raised him back.
Yeah, and Parviz is in terrible shape here, because you look at it, John's actually got the king of diamonds in his hand, so there's no sort of runner diamond chance here. I mean, Parviz would need specifically a jack and only a jack to win this hand.
This pot is about 3, and look at that, he makes the laydown.
Nice laydown. I mean, that's a laydown that we don't often see, even in the big games.
Yep. Well, something always smells, Dave. Get a pre-flop raiser betting $30 into a pot that was about 90. You look at it, boy, I would think that John Vorhaus, isn't the type of player that's going to know, he's not going to make that type of bet there as a real bet. You almost smell that something's up there.
And the only thing you wonder is if Vorhaus had actually bet a normal amount. Let's say he bet 60 into the flop.
He could have,
or 75.
He might have made more on the hand.
Yeah, you wonder if seat 1 throws it away, but then seat number 4 then raises it up to, say, 120 or 140.
He might not raise, but he might just keep calling.
Yeah, either way.
He might keep calling.
Sometimes by putting in that big check raise, you kind of let your opponent off the hook.
Well.
You must be getting the cards that I was getting.
I'm getting real hands now. No, those kind of cards I play, it's real hands I don't want to do.
5-way action here, limped around. Ace 8-7 here. It's a rainbow. No one has an ace.
We got a gut shot for seat number 4. And he's going to bet his gut shot. He needs a 9. And good bet here by Parviz. I think he's going to take it down. He does. I'm a big believer in that. There are a lot of flops that just miss everybody. And that's kind of dead money. And if you can pick up a little bit here and there, it'll kind of keep you afloat until you hit some big hands.
Email here from that guy, Chris. What is it? Chris Matthews? Is that what his name was?
Well, that doesn't count.
Well, that was his 2+2 name.
Yeah, I'm
right?
not sure.
Assuming it's the same guy, saying that.
Let me read that email.
Hey, we think that Albany will give UConn a run for their money. We appreciate the enthusiasm for Albany basketball that Dave showed last night. Maybe we can call Albany the official college basketball team of Live at the Bike.
That'd be great. That's all it, man. Hey, maybe somebody from Albany can send us a Albany hat or Albany shirt or something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
we'll hang it here, without a doubt.
Are they Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday against UConn?
I don't even know. I know Syracuse plays Thursday morning early, like 9:30 Eastern time.
It's not him, it's somebody else.
Live straddle here, and it's limped around, and we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-way action here, Dave. So it's a $70 pot. And look at those cards go up. Jack 10 deuce here.
Well, Jaime and John both have top pair. The flop is Jack 10 deuce rainbow.
When Jaime's in position, he's going to bet when it gets checked to him with the King Jack. And he's going to bet 80 here. He's going to bet pretty much the pot.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly the pot, right?
And Vorhaus does not get involved here with Jack 9.
Yeah, Jack 9 of hearts, it's not really the flop you're looking for, is it?
Deuce isn't good, right?
Jack 8 went to the mud.
And Parviz does not get involved there with the Queen 10, and Jaime's going to take it down.
That's kind of cool. Look at that. He says we're not SUNY Albany, really, because it's it's State University of New York.
Right.
I'm surprised by that. Okay, that's cool.
It is still SUNY Binghamton, though, right?
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was SUNY Albany still, so who knows? But that'd be a kind of cool thing. Send us some sort of basketball Albany paraphernalia. We'll hang it or wear it, for sure.
Funny thing about when I went to Syracuse, Dave, is we actually had the people who were SUNY forestry students. There's actually a SUNY forestry school on the Syracuse campus.
SUNY forestry?
Yeah, forestry. It was like a state park.
Forestry, yeah.
Forestry.
I got you. I thought it was like some sort of foreskin thing.
No. Like a lot of landscaping and stuff like that.
I got you,
I
okay.
lived over in Sadler Hall, and some of those guys lived with us in the dorm.
Is that like you're studying to be a park ranger and stuff like that?
Got a raise here by seat 9.
I tell you, that's a great job.
Gonna make it.
My next life, I want to be a park ranger. Really? That just sounds cool, man. Come on. You get to wear some goofy outfit and just hang out in Yellowstone all day?
Jamie is going to pull the limp re-raise here, one off the cutoff with ace-queen. He limped in the cutoff, and then George raised out of the small blind, and Jamie's going to come back over the top here with ace-queen.
I tell you, this game's a little more action than we thought it would be.
Once the cameras get on there. I mean, a lot of times, a guy raising out of the blinds representing a bigger hand than ace-queen here.
Well, he might be playing the player here. Jaime is real tight. I mean, he's a really tight, solid player, but you can't run him over. I mean, will make a stand. And right now he's thinking about, does he want to get involved? Now, he is in position, but do you want to get involved with ace-queen?
Jaime pulled the limp re-raise here with ace-queen, Dave. George raised it up. And Jaime
okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
I completely mixed up that.
It's all right,
I
think I hit you in the head one too many times last
Yeah,
time
seriously.
at the show. And Jaime's going to take it. I just thought it was interesting that Jaime limps in one off the cutoff.
7:31.
And then when the small blind raises, he pulls the limp re-raise, something you don't often see in late position.
That also is, Jaime actually, like I said, he's a tight, solid player,
right.
But he will make a stand. I mean, it feels like people are trying to run him over a little bit.
Maybe he just thought George was full of it.
Yeah. And you got position. If you get called, it's not the worst thing in the world. You got position with ace-queen.
Again, you can Skype us at Live at the Bike. Send us a voicemail or a chat message. Anyone who's got Skype.
What did he have?
I don't care.
And seat 6 here.
If he wasn't there, he'd be over there on the computer right now.
That is
Ace Queen.
I think I'm suited. I'm scared of the flop. Jackson's good.
There used to be great pizza right in Albany. A place called Sovrano's. Everybody used to hit that after they go to the bars and then they go to Serrano's and get pizza.
Uriel has raised it here with King Queen in seat 6.
Oh, the good old days.
He's going to make it 50.
First spot.
Boy, you guys must have lived a sheltered life up there in upstate New York when your big event was to say, hey, let's go to the big city, Albany. Let's go to the Albany bar, pizza place.
Why the dig, man? Why the dig? Jeez. God.
Yes, I'm done.
I'm sorry, we didn't have like Quincy Market all out of the corner, okay? Ooh.
But Dean's over here in seat 9.
Voluntarily compelled to straddle, is that what you said?
Yes, we're making a deal. Can't be just me and C3 straddling every hand.
All right.
I'm Chuck.
I say we do it.
Once again, we're live at the bike, folks. I'm David Tuckman here with Bart Hansen. We're playing No Limit Hold'em. Blinds are 5 and 5. This is a restricted buy-in game, and you can buy in anywhere from $300 to $500. But obviously, we got more money than that on the table already.
And everyone seems to be straddling here. So again, when somebody straddles, it's $10 to call, and the straddle in the under the gun spot gets the option to raise. And it's limped around 5 ways, so it's a $50 pot here. 6-5 deuce, couple spades. It's missed pretty much every. Well, we got a 7-6. And Craig is going to come out and bet 20 into a $50 pot here with 6-7. Top pair.
Probably going to take it down. Nobody's got anything.
Yeah, a lot of Broadway out there.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of these players are playing a little more aggressive pre-flop, yet somewhat passive post-flop. You're not seeing too many moves post-flop, unless they've got it.
What kind of shirt is that, Ray? Ray told us in the beginning of the show.
Oh, it's a San Francisco 49ers
Yeah,
shirt.
49. You just thought it was Tampa
Number
Bay.
11. I thought for a second it was Tampa Bay.
Alex
Alex
Smith.
Smith. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That was the number 1 draft pick last year.
Yeah.
Adam, what are you, Utah, right? Alex Smith.
But
Did you see the signings today?
no.
Dante Culpepper's in Miami.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I saw on ESPN they were talking about, is Miami a real contender now?
And Drew Brees left San Diego and signed with New Orleans.
Wow.
And it kind of turned the whole draft upside down because
Yeah.
New Orleans was supposedly going to take Matt Leinart, the 2nd pick overall.
Live straddle by seat 4. So it's going to be $10 to call here again. Limped around here. 5-way action, $50 pot. Ace 9-6 here with a couple diamonds, and Jamie's got top pair in the nut flush draw. Big hand, Dave. Excuse me, not Jamie, Jaime. And he checked it, and George bet. Let's see if Jaime puts in a big check raise here from up front.
Sounds like a pull.
We got a $30 bet here by George. Seat number 2, Craig is called with bottom pair, and Jaime is just going to call here. He's got top pair in the nut flush draw. He's got the best hand by far, best hand, best draw, and there's the nut flush. And look at George, he's got a draw to the second nut flush. Jaime checks it again. He checks the nut flush here. He's checked the flop, and now he checks the turn.
All right, go ahead.
And he gets checked around, and the river here is a 10. And now Craig is going to come out and bet with bottom pair. He bets with bottom pair here. He bets 75, but Jaime has the nuts. There's no hand that can beat him. He really slow played it. And he is going to raise here a little.
Man, I mean, I'm looking at his hand.
Wait a
like,
minute, he just called. He just called with the nuts. I guess he was hoping to get an overcall by seat 9. I mean, that's sometimes a strategy that you can have.
Yep.
If you think that seat 9 has a big hand and you raise a guy who you might think is full of it from up front, well, if you raise, now the guy behind you leaves and the original better leaves. So if you just call with the nuts, you might get an overcall. And that's what I think he was doing.
Yeah, oftentimes a good player will use that strategy. Let's say, for example, a good player.
Yeah.
Or somebody who's very good raises an early position and bets an early position.
Yeah.
If you raise, that player is not going to pay you. There's no way that player, because he's a good player.
Right.
But let's say there's a kind of a donkey behind you. You might call there and keep the donkey in.
Yeah.
How far behind was I on that?
She was so mad.
Pocket breeze here for Vorhaus. He limps in.
The nut flush draw and check position.
Hey, David Gladstone had a question for us. Thanks for the email here. He said, hey, with the tournament going on, is there any thought of having a super whale game? Perhaps a 25K minimum buy-in, 100 and 200 blind game. You know, winning the green, actually, I'm not sure if this tournament's actually big enough to get those kind of names.
Maybe
here.
at Legends.
Yeah, Legends, obviously, which is our big tournament in August where all the big names are here. That's probably a possibility.
6-way action. I think it was straddled again here. So we're looking at about a
Was that an elbow
$60
drop?
pot here. King 4 deuce with a couple clubs. Aaron's got a flush draw over there in seat 1. Let's see if he bets from the cutoff here with it. No, he doesn't. He takes a card, and everybody checks, and he hits the flush on the turn
There
here.
you go. Life is good when you hit a flush.
Next round, I check it.
Now Aaron's going to bet out here. He's got the second nut flush.
I can't imagine anybody calling this unless Jaime gets involved, but he's not one to get involved with Queen 10 there.
But
We don't know if it's a Xena.
Pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, Morehouse is going to fold. I mean, the funny thing about, again, no limit games doesn't necessarily mean, Dave, just because the blinds are bigger. It means that, I mean, obviously the game is going to be a little bit bigger, but we've had some huge 25-50 games. I mean, if Mofiel's comfortable spreading that game, then there's really no reason to have necessarily a bigger game, right? I mean, we did have that 50-100 restricted buying game
Right.
earlier. But 100-200 is huge.
Yeah, it's
you
the
know?
funny thing is sometimes if you put players in that big a game, they get a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you might not see as much action as we're
Exactly.
accustomed to.
They can't now. $5 and it's not worth it.
Players tend to tighten up, obviously, when they're playing a little bit out of their comfort zone. Interesting question here from Pete Chang. Get to it in a minute.
He emailed us again. You can email us at live@thebike.com. Straddled again. Looks like every hand's going to get straddled here. So we're almost playing this like a 5-10 game here. Pretty much.
Yeah, this is actually it's like a 3 blind game. They used to have
Right.
this a lot where it's a 5-5-10 blinds almost.
Yeah. Jack 5-3 here. All clubs. We got 4 people in the hand.
And nobody's got much of anything. Chuck's got second pair. But, I mean, is that really what you want with 10-5? I'm not sure what you want with 10-5.
Turns a queen, and now Uriel there has got top pair. He's going to come out and lead here with the queen.
Yeah,
That's
Craig has
50.
got a gut shot, but I can't imagine him getting involved.
And Uriel there was in the straddle spot. I was going to say, you wonder, wait, limped in with queen deuce from up front. He was the straddler, so he got in there for free, and he's going to take it down there. Yeah, the email here says, what do you guys prefer, no limit hold'em cash or limit hold'em cash? You said that now you're playing more no limit. Why is that? Is it true if you play correct in no limit that you can win 80% of the time, but if you play correct in limit, you can win 60% of the time? Do good players do better in no limit cash than limit cash games? And does no limit cash games have more of a future than limit cash games? Kind of a whole bundle of questions there.
I guess in short, yes.
Yes. I mean, Dave and I have really made the switch over to no limit, and I mean, I got to tell you, I'm making 10, 20-fold the amount of money than I ever did in limit.
Yeah, I mean, I think
raise it 10 to make it.
basically no limit. I mean, poker's a game of mistakes, but no limit is even more so.
Yeah.
And you can be patient and disciplined and wait in no limit. And when somebody does make a mistake, you can really punish them. I think the edge for a good player over a bad player is just bigger in no limit than it is in limit holding.
Seat 9 brought this one in for a raise to 40 with 6-5 of spades. Jaime called there, and so did Uriel with pocket eights. Now, George is the pre-flop raiser. Now, Jaime's got ace-king. He flopped top pair here, and 5-6 is totally missed. It gets checked over to George. And you wonder if Jaime is just kind of reeling George in here, thinks George is a little bit too aggressive. And Jaime's going to raise it up here to 260.
Well, and that's going to make it easy for Uriel to get rid of his hand there.
And obviously probably easy for George to get rid of his hand.
Yeah.
George has got absolutely nothing here. And the other interesting thing, as George folds, is that the more new blood that comes into poker, I really think that more and more people are moving immediately into no limit. Now, I'm not saying, Dave, that they necessarily play the levels that we play at, but if you can find some guys kind of like, diamonds in the rough with a lot of money who don't want to play low, but actually want to play high because they can afford to play it and they're new to the game, well, then you can really punish those guys in no limit much more than you can in limit.
Of course. You get somebody who's wealthy, who wants to gamble,
Right.
a local businessman or something, who has money, but like you said, doesn't really get that adrenaline flow playing in a $100 buying game, plays in our game,
Right.
but obviously doesn't have the experience to play in our game.
Right.
Well, I got a call right now.
I mean, Limit Hold'em, obviously, it's got a place. It's a great game, a lot of fun. I always like Limit Hold'em, but if you're looking to make more money, I think obviously the money is in no limit right now.
Chuck's going to bring this one in for a $40 raise with 8-6 offsuit. We've got ace-king, ace-queen, and king-queen in the hand here.
Now, Ace King's got him badly dominated, but in all likelihood, this flop will miss everybody.
Now, did John Borhaus did he straddle here, or did he limp in under the gun? That's the question, seat 8.
I ain't gonna look.
I
Really?
And John Borhaus folds the ace-king?
He said it. He actually said, "I'm not even going to look."
I checked you.
Wow. Well, George calls with king-queen here.
He'll let you
And
know.
ace-queen was also out of the hand. Queen-jack-7 on the
Did he
flop.
actually say that? I'm not even going to look.
I was dumbfounded. I don't know if he straddled there or if he limped. I guess he said he didn't look at the hand.
I call.
Chuck bets here, makes a continuation bet, and George is going to call here with king-queen.
Maybe we can get Donna to ask him
Here's your 5 back.
if he actually did not look
Straddle,
at that
and he
hand.
didn't look at the hand.
I'm
It's about
curious.
$300 pot now to the turn. Turn's a 9. Chuck's open-ended now.
What was she at, 300?
350, 60 actually. He had given me my 5 back.
And George's going to come out. He check call the flop, and now he bets the turn.
It's a bet?
Yeah.
He bets
Kind of a little bit of a blocker bet, huh? Betting 100 into about a $300
I think
pot.
he's actually betting more than that.
Oh, okay.
You let me take a
Wow, that really puts
That's why I bet.
Chuck to the test here. He's open-ended.
Go ahead and check.
Now, a 10 would not be good, though, and obviously Chuck, I think, is a good enough
Yeah.
player to realize that. I mean, George, he would need to catch a 5 and a 5 only here.
Yeah, good point, Obs. I didn't even
Yeah.
notice a 10
Yeah.
would not be good. That makes it an easy fold for Chuck. There's only one card to come. You can see the overwhelming favorite George is.
So I guess we got word that Warhouse straddled but didn't look at his hand. So that's really
Well, the funny thing
peculiar.
is, the other players actually, they want to make this game a little bigger.
Yeah.
So the other players actually put the $10 in for him to force the straddle.
Oh, he didn't want to straddle.
Right,
I
to force
see.
it.
And then he didn't even
deci-
look at the hand?
And then he decided not to look.
He had ace-king.
Well, you know, he probably saved himself $50.
Yeah.
Queen 10.
Wow.
I'm surprised he didn't look. He said, "I'm not even going to look."
So the other players straddled for him.
Tell him later?
That makes sense.
I want you didn't even look at
I didn't look.
Hey, if somebody wants to straddle for me, I'm all for it.
Yeah, but you're going to look at your hand, though,
I
right?
didn't have 10.
Of course.
I had 10.
That's what you had.
Five pocket queen.
Funny, I was playing last night with Gore and a couple of players, and
Probably not.
nobody else would straddle, but me and Gore straddled every single time it got to us. Because the game was so passive.
My dad taught me years ago there's no such thing as a free lunch.
I'll put you on the right hand, I'll fold.
All right.
If I don't, I'm going to go.
All right.
And I'm not sure what Chuck is thinking about here. It's really an easy question here. You got to look at it and go, a 10 is a one-liner. Anybody with a...
He's got a one card straight. I mean, even if the 10 was good here, there's only one card. The guy's bet 200 here.
Yeah.
That's 500, 200 to call.
There's also 2 diamonds out there. I mean, there's just so many cards you don't even know where you're at.
I think Chuck was trying to talk him into the fact, well, if I gamble here, if the guy has queen 10, which is what he said,
George, quick before she takes
Rabbit Cam shows a 6. If the guy had queen 10, then obviously the 10 would have been good for his straight.
Right.
But I mean, yeah,
But,
two
then, but in that
diamonds.
case, then you're looking at it going, okay, if he's got queen 10, well, then you've only got 7 outs with 1 card to go.
Right,
And one of them has queen 10 of diamonds.
right. Many, many different things.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
you got to pick a better spot there. You know, I'm all for once in a while. I think if you want to be successful and a real good player, I think you do have to gamble. I don't think you can sit around and wait for the nuts and be a big winner and no limit hold'em. I do think once in a while you've got to push in with big draws and gamble a little bit. And live a little bit on the edge.
Email here from Andrew. He says, regarding the ace-10 of diamonds hand by Jaime, he said, I like the play before the river, but on the river it seems like the man who led out in early position could easily have a lower flush and check the turn trying to check raise. Also, his play was so strong by calling in between. Would George overcall when the board comes coordinated with 3 diamonds there? Interesting.
Yeah, definitely an interesting read on it. Thank you for the email, Andrew.
I have to put you on a hand before I put it.
Straddled again here, so it's $10 to call.
And this game's playing a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
30? Yes. Oh my God, I don't know if I can play with a guy with those kind of glasses.
Even if you hit no.
King Jack suited, King Jack offsuit actually in seat 2. It's not King Queen.
Yeah, and he brought that one in for a raise, and Chuck called with a suited connector. So we're looking at Craig, who brought this one in for a raise with King Jack. Chuck made the call, I believe.
Take it out.
You're being too honest, don't worry. By the time you get here, it's going to be okay.
And we got 3-way action here.
Nice guy.
Ace 8-6 here.
Well, George has got second pair, and he's got the best hand right now.
It's going to get checked around here.
How did you know what I have?
Turn is a 4. Again, Craig's got King Jack there.
6.
Yeah, but George is going to bet this here. He's got second pair. He's now got a gut shot straight draw. And nobody's going to get involved with this, I don't think.
Well, Chuck picked up a pair, and he's got a gut shot to the 7 now.
So he's got the same gut shot with a worse pair.
Yep, and he makes the call.
So he's in bad shape here,
And as
obviously.
you can see there, Chuck would need to catch a 4 and only a 4 there to win outright.
Right.
The river's queen.
And you see the percentages do not add up to 100% there, and that's because obviously 9% of the time they will tie.
And this one gets checked down.
And George takes it down.
You're right.
Well, the funny thing there for Chuck, if you keep that board up there for a second,
Yeah.
you know, if he's going to call there on the turn, and the guy checks the river, well, I guess maybe, you know, some people are going to check a weak ace there, but if you put the guy on an 8, could you possibly maybe bet that? I mean, I don't know exactly what the queen represents where you could get the guy off of an 8. We're obviously privy to the fact that George had a weak hand.
Right, but it's also, I mean, George also checked the flop. Everybody checked the flop.
Yeah.
Then George bets the turn, and you just call him, and then he checks and you check.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing it a little passively, and I think Chuck picked up on that right away.
I did do the straddle out of respect, by the way, because of the whole thing down there.
No straddles?
So let's see what else we got going on for the 2006 winning of the green this week. Like I said, tomorrow's in No Limit Hold'em, $300 buy-in with one optional rebuy. Thursday is a 7-card stud high-low, bring your oxygen.
And the fact that you didn't
Friday is
even
limit
chuck
hold'em.
them, I was like, you know what?
And then Saturday, we've got a crazy one. We've got a No Limit Hold'em, $200 buy-in tournament with multi-rebuys.
Wow, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, that should be a real big tournament.
Go ahead.
And then, of course, Sunday and Monday, we have a 2-day event, and it's a big one. It's a $1,500 buy-in tournament. No Limit Hold'em.
Well, this pot was not straddled, and the flop comes 9-9-6 here. Seat 8, he's got 10-8 of hearts. He's
Wow.
got a gut shot straight flush draw. Gets checked around, and now he's picked up the flush.
He's got the straight. Now he's open. He's got an open-ended straight flush draw, folks.
And Vorhaus is going to lead out with the main flush here. Now, no one's sandbagging a 9. No one's going to call.
Nobody's got much of anything here.
Power Poker by John Vorhaus.
Yeah, and sometimes you just got to realize you're not going to make a lot of money, you know? You just got to figure, okay, well, this wasn't the hand I was going to make a lot of money on.
Again, we are here live the bike. We are playing 300 and in, 500 max buy-in, 5 blinds. Yellow chips are $5 chips.
I'll let you know.
Take a look at the first chip count here of the night. So we got over $5,000 on the table here. This is going to be our starting point.
I don't remember anybody at my table.
Really dirty.
Did we not take a chip count here at 6:55 tonight? Yeah, we actually did take a chip count right at the beginning of the show, so let's see how these players are doing.
Let's
And there
see.
we go. Craig V. He's in the lead here with 300.
Wow.
George with 300.
My generosity.
John's down.
Well, he lost that.
Ace king,
Yeah, he
yeah.
lost his king right away.
There you go. Pocket kings here for George in the small blind. Now, he's raised with a bunch of different hands out of the small blind, so why not raise with your big hands
Yeah,
here?
and interesting here, Vorhaus actually limped in on the button
With 9s.
with 9s.
Yep.
Man,
$45 raise here by George.
I mean, I know I love to mix up my play once in a while, you know, and sometimes I won't raise with 9s in the button. But more often than not, I'm going to raise with 9s in the button for value. Right?
Well, Vorhaus, let's see if he gets involved with the ragged flop here. Here we go. Ragged flop. Both players have overpairs here.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's see what George does. It's about a $100 pot here. And he's going to bet kind of a weak bet. He bets 60 or 75, and Vorhaus is going to immediately call in position. It's a draw-heavy board
yeah, and
here,
if
Dave.
the board pairs here and it stays small, you wonder if he's going to get in trouble.
Returns a jack. Well, that's one overcard, but
It's not really
Yeah.
a scary card, though, is it? And Vorhaus is really studying George. He's trying to get a read on him.
pot is about $250 here, and he's going to bet the pot now. He bets $250 here.
Yeah, that does not make Vorhaus happy. You can see how he sits back there. He goes, oh, shoot, I was hoping this guy would probably check it to me. Check his ace-king to me. But
But
Vorhaus...
look at Vorhaus. He's going to call immediately.
Yeah,
He's going to make the call, and this pot is going to be about $800 here. And Vorhaus almost drawing dead. He's got 2 outs to the win.
yeah, he needs a 9, only a 9,
And if you're
folks.
George, what do you think here? What the hell does Vorhaus have?
Yeah, I think you like your hand. I think he might be calling you with exactly what he has.
Here we go to the river. River's an ace. Oh, boy. That might kill a lot of the action. Nut flush draw here, maybe?
Well, that's exactly what you got to be thinking about. Maybe if Vorhaus had something like, say, ace-4 of clubs.
Kings are good. The anti-power poker takes it down again.
I was worried.
Yeah,
So I checked.
I mean, I think 9s were a little overplayed there. You know, once in a while I'll get in trouble too. Sometimes you just misread somebody.
Yeah.
You put them on ace king, you stick with it, and you think, well, my 9s are good. I'm going to stay the whole time.
Right.
Obviously it's real easy for us in the booth when we know one player has kings and the other guy has nines.
Right.
On the turn?
I was actually annoyed at myself last night. I called some guy down with ace king and I won the pot. And then later on, the same exact guy, I knew he was bluffing. I absolutely knew it. And I called him down with ace queen. And on the river, he looks at me and goes, good call, I missed. And I go, okay, muck your hand. And he turned over ace king. And I had ace queen. And I was really annoyed at myself because I knew he was bluffing. And I called him down with ace queen. And I didn't think for a second. I actually thought he had a weaker ace or maybe even king queen. But I should have taken into account that he might have had ace king. And I should have probably raised him up and taken the pot down, not worried about it.
Jamie is Jaime there is limped in here with pocket tens, and Aaron's going to raise here with ace queen.
Big hands like king, queen, and
I was busy putting my chips together. Sorry.
how much?
45.
He made it 45 to go. Chuck is out of there, looks like.
Look at the difference.
And let's see how Jaime plays this.
You make it 45, nobody calls.
Jaime's going to
I
make
know
the
who's
call.
gonna call.
Jaime is out of position here.
Surprised
And
you
the
didn't
pot's
say
going to be about $100.
Yeah.
I'm at a side bet.
Actually, no, excuse
Yeah,
me.
he's in
Jaime is
position.
in position.
In
Aaron
position
raised
with
it
a
out of the
pocket pair.
blind with ace queen.
And how do you like ace queen if you get called by
There's
Jaime?
someone that puts me on absolutely nothing.
4-6-6 here. Let's see what Aaron does here from early position. Wow, it goes check, check. Really surprising that tens check there. Turns a jack. I mean, that's really a free overcard that came there
Yeah.
on the turn. And it goes check, check again. And the river's a 9. Jaime, I guess, was content. And now Jaime bets the river. He bets 50, maybe. Well, now the river bet, maybe he's trying to get a call from ace king or ace queen here.
I think that's exactly what he's trying to do.
And he's going to get a value call on the river. I was just a little bit surprised that he didn't bet the flop or the turn there.
Yeah, the only problem with the value call there, and sometimes you got to look at, and I do make some big calls, and sometimes I look like an idiot when I'm wrong, and sometimes I look like a genius when I'm right. But sometimes you got to look at the texture of a board and go, it's Jaime betting. The board is Jack 9 6 6 4. What do you think he called a raise with that your ace queen can beat? You can't beat ace king now. You can't beat ace jack. You can't beat ace 9. Do you really think he called you at like what, ace 8, ace 7?
Dave, we got a Skype here from W.M. Ehart. He says hello, letting us know that he is a fan.
Well, thanks a lot.
Keep those Skypes coming in.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Again, you can go to Skype.com, and I think you can download that software for free. It's an interesting little thing.
Got ace king suited here, ace king of spades for seat number 4. That's Parviz.
Yeah.
And he actually is in the straddle spot, I want to say.
Yeah, it looks like it. I think he straddled there, Dave.
Funny thing is, I think seat number 3 has got $10 in there, and he's not even straddling yet. But he's in the big blind, but he's put $10 in anyway.
Well, you'd imagine that Parib is... He does not raise with ace king suited. We got 6-way action, $60 pot. Boy, if you're in the straddle spot, what more are you looking for there?
Yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to pick that up.
And Jaime's got top 2 pair here, queen 10 deuce on the flop.
Yeah, I was
Jaime's
actually
going to come out and bet.
I was talking to Gore about it last night, and the whole point, if you are going to straddle
Right.
and you never raise,
There's no point to straddling, right?
exactly. You've got to raise once in a while.
Yeah.
For numerous reasons. First of all, you get some players with big hands who limp in, hoping they can re-raise you. Plus, you also can obviously pick up some dead money once in a while. If
And
you're never going to raise, what's the point of straddling? I don't
Jaime
understand.
takes it down there, and we know that if Parib or Parviz raised, Jaime was not going to call
Yeah.
a queen 10 offsuit. I mean, it's interesting that Jaime even entered the pot there, Dave. I mean, queen 10 offsuit. I do not limp in the first few positions
Yeah.
of that hand.
Not usually a hand you want to...
Yeah.
Especially, there's been a lot of raises pre-flop, not
Yeah.
really a hand I want to get involved with.
Yeah.
If it gets raised, he's got to throw it away. Hey, you two can play on Live at the Bike. Come on down here. We'll butcher your name also.
We got a lot of tough names out there tonight so far. Button's going to move over here to seat 2. Live straddle here by seat number 5, Jaime. So again, this game is kind of playing like a $10 in the big blind.
Yeah.
Limped around here.
Yeah, Choop calls.
5-way action. $50 pot to the flop.
Wow. Flop the straight for Jaime.
Wow, and look at this Jack 10 for Aaron, top 2 pair. And Jaime's going to lead here. Why not? There's 2 clubs. I love the bet. He plops the nut straight.
It's a great bet by him.
He's going to bet 60, and is Aaron going to get himself in trouble here with Jack 10?
Well, you know what? It's tough to get away from this. This guy's betting right into it. You go, wait a second, why would he bet it so quick if he has a straight already?
He's bet 60 here, little over the size of the pot.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that Jaime is a pretty tight player, and it's tough to play this hand. You almost don't want to smooth call and leave clubs in there, but at the same time, well, there you go.
He's going to move all in here, and obviously Jaime is going to call.
Yeah.
We can see that one of the 10s is dead in Pareev's hand. Aaron's going to be drawing the 3 outs to the jack, the remaining 10. 2 jacks and 1 10.
Yeah. And I was going to say, the only problem is if you call, you let clubs in there for cheap, but if you move all in, you're only going to get called by a hand that's beating you.
Turns a deuce, rivers an 8, and Jaime is going to take it down there with a straight. Nice hand there by Jaime.
And sometimes we're faced with those dilemmas in no-limit hold'em cash games. I know I am. I know Bard is, and you probably are at home as well, where sometimes you get a hand like Jack 10 in that spot, where if you don't raise, you're kind of playing it passively, and there are a lot of cards that can kind of scare you if you leave somebody in there with, say, King, Queen, if you leave somebody in there with Queen, 9, if you leave clubs in there and so forth. You know, obviously 2 pairs very vulnerable, but at the same time, if you raise, you're only going to get called by a hand that's usually beating you. You know, especially a player like Jaime, you know Jaime's not in there with Jack 7, so you figure 2 pairs, the worst hand he'll call you with, and in that case, he's chopping it up with you. He obviously would probably call you with a set or a straight. If he had some sort of straight draw and flush draw, he'd probably call you there. But in that case, you're pretty much even money.
Just the straddles will raise a little
He's betting the nuts. He's betting the nuts, man.
Once again, straddled around, and this is 6 ways, so it's a $60 pot. John is going to bet it. Warhouse is betting it here. He's got ace-3. He's got top pair, backdoor spades. And let's see if Jaime gets involved. He's got an ace also, not much of a kicker. But he's going to make the call, see where he's at, and it's going to be heads up here. Everybody else gets out. And John's in bad shape, obviously. This could get chopped up if another high card comes out, though. And there it is, a king, actually. But it is a king of spades, and John has now got the flush draw. And this is interesting. Both players have aces, king, queen, 10. And this is going to get chopped up unless a spade comes off or a 9 or a 3 come up. But John is going to continue betting it strong. He bet $60, and Jaime cannot call. I can't blame him there. That kind of board there, what can you beat with ace-9? And he throws it away. His 9 does not even play. Nice bet by John Vorhouse there. There it is. Killer poker.
Killer poker. Hardcore poker. Full tilt poker.
Oh, jeez.
We got to get Mattisau in the booth sometime, man.
Yeah,
We get the game going. I'm stuck 15,000 in the cash game. They're playing like donkeys out there. They're sucking out on me.
I might take that day off.
So
I might just mysteriously be in South America. My parents just got back from South America, by the way.
Really? Where'd they go? What part?
They did a 6-week trip to South America. They retired a couple of years ago.
Ecuador? Did they make it to the Galapagos Islands?
I don't know.
No?
They told me the whole
Big
thing.
turtles over
I mean, they hit Peru and they hit Machu Picchu and Argentina.
Well, it's summertime. Queen Jack is going to raise here, Chuck, from the cutoff. And Uriel's there going to call with Queen 5 suited here in the blind, and he is dominated.
Well, there's the ace. Nobody's got an ace, though.
But Chuck probably is going to bet and take it down here, obviously represent.
Yeah, well, he's got the best hand, actually.
He bets 50, and he's going to take it
But obviously the best hand doesn't mean anything here. Sometimes it's just better.
I still am amazed, and I know that we sometimes drive it home to people that even sometimes I see good players playing those up and down suited cards, Dave, and I just always think, I don't want to play a hand where if I hit it big, I still can't necessarily even play it strong.
Yeah.
You know
the
what I mean?
only time I will play a hand like that will be if the table is extremely passive and I'm in position and I'm not even playing my cards.
Right, you're just playing off the fact that you think that,
Yeah, I mean,
like kind of like the Doyle Brunson-esque, I can not look at my hand and just play the buttons.
yeah, I mean, I don't even want to come close to comparing myself to Doyle Brunson, but I was playing in a game last night that was so passive that, I mean, I was basically calling blind or raising blind in the cutoff seat and in the button whenever it was limped to me.
Regardless of your cards.
And because 9 out of 10 times it was checked to me and I could bet and take it down. There was one time, in fact, that I actually won 8 hands in a row last night. and maybe I'd only made 4 of the 8 hands, and the other 4 I just took down.
We've got a raise here by Jaime with ace-7 of hearts from the button here. And this pot was straddled, so he's making it 4 times the straddle amount. And is Uriel going to take that? Is he going to be in there again with that up and down suited with queen 4? And seat 4, Pariv there has got that up and down suited ace. And Jaime brought the hand in with up and down suited.
Yeah, obviously ace-6 of diamonds is a vulnerable hand, a lot better than queen 4 spades, though. I mean, I like hands that you can flop the nuts, you know?
Craig's hand is, that's a hand that you might take multi-way, 8-10 of diamonds.
Yeah.
Now, he is dominated with diamonds.
And the only hand I really dislike out of all of those is queen 4 spades.
And we've got a $200 pot going 5 ways, and Jaime is the pre-flop raiser. Well, there's the ace. And chances are, if it gets to showdown, ace-7 and ace-6 would chop this one up.
Yeah, and now both players have backdoor flush draw possibilities.
Now, when you talk about you don't even know what you're going to get involved with, well, it gets checked over to Jaime, and he bets 100. Now, if Parviz bet into me, what do I do with ace-7 there?
I think you throw in the muck.
Really?
I do. I mean, if you bet
With all those people behind you, especially who might be sandbagging a 5,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And look, it's the same way. Whoever bets, it's going to take it down.
Yeah.
And Jaime's image there, he takes it down. And this is most likely going to be a chop pot.
I mean, the only thing that you might hope for, if you get the cutoff betting into, is that maybe he's betting pocket 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about that kind of flop. If a good player bets into you, you're at best chopping it.
Right, because your kicker is not going to play.
And you really don't want to put money in the pot in a no-limit game, a cash game especially, when you are at best chopping. I mean, it's a quick way to go broke. I actually made a mistake last night. I was really mad at myself. I gave away about $300 to a player where I thought there was probably about a 90% chance of us chopping it and a 10% chance that I was a loser. And I was like, why am I putting money in this pot? It's just stupid. Yet I found myself putting money in the pot.
Well, I don't know if you remember me telling a story about I lost a big pot a couple of weeks ago with 6-4. Dave, when the flop came out 4-4 deuce.
Right.
I put all my money in there when, in essence, with the 4-4 deuce board, someone else with a 4 who's got a similar kicker is going to chop it with me. I lose to bottoms full and I lose to ace full.
Yeah. And I guess that was your thinking. You're going, why am I putting money in there to chop the pot?
Right.
You see this?
We had a little raise here by the button.
I know you want me to call with inferior.
Actually, excuse me, it was Chuck that raised with ace-4 clubs. Got a call by Jaime, and Uriel is in there with pocket 6s.
I tell you, every flop is an ace, and
Look at Chuck.
that.
He's flopped top and bottom here.
It's insane. It's like every flop's got an ace in
And
it.
he checked it, Dave. He checked it, and Uriel's going to bet here with 6s.
And the interesting thing is well, Jaime did not take a bait there with the 9 there.
All in for 8 except for the chips behind.
It's an $80 bet here by the button.
I got to tell you, it's not a scary board at all.
And Chuck calls. He makes the call here with 2 pair.
Now, if you put your opponent on a stronger ace than you have, like say ace-jack or ace-10, would you continue betting?
Look at this. Chuck just checked to induce kind of the bluff, and the guy moved in with 6s, and he calls. And Uriel's going to need a 6 and only a 6 here. And Chuck's going to take down a big pot here if a 6 doesn't come. The river's an ace.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask guys just to leave the board on one hand just for a second here. I'm going to throw something at you. Now, Chuck checks the flop, right?
Right.
And you bet the flop. You're in Uriel's spot, and Uriel made a mistake here. Because Uriel bets the flop, and the flop is ace-9-4 rainbow. It's completely devoid of really any draw. I mean, I guess somebody could have a gut shot, deuce-5, something like that. But there's really no draw out there. If you get called, and you bet big, and you get called, can 6s be good here? Is there any way 6s can be good?
Well, no, they can't be good, but let me throw something else at you.
Thank you very much, Isaac.
In a deep stack game, I've seen good players, though, know that a guy who's making that check call has queens or kings, and you're betting there on the turn on the river to get him off of that hand. Now, not in this case. I don't think the stacks are up to that level.
Right. You might even get somebody off base 10.
Right.
But the problem is the pot is now, when the pot was $300.
Right. We are playing a form of restricted.
Yeah, and he's betting $200 into a $300 pot. There's no way you're going to get somebody off the hand,
Right.
and your 6s cannot be good there.
Right.
And so oftentimes it's one of the reasons why I like, if I'm going to bluff, I like to bluff into a board that is not draw heavy. Because if I get called, I kind of know where my opponent's at.
Yeah. And you actually, if you get called against a passive player, you might think that you can still get him off a weak top pair as well.
And then it comes to reading and figuring out, can I get this guy off? Does he have enough money? How strong is he?
Chuck made a raise here with ace-jack, and Craig is called here, and Craig is dominated with king-jack. Chuck, the pre-flop raiser. 10-3-10 here. It misses both players. And Chuck is going to bet.
And I imagine this is going to go check fold. Chuck takes down.
We had a follow-up email here from Brian Santos. We did answer this question on Friday. We had a power outage, so the show went short, and I don't think we even attempted to replay it. But basically, he was talking about, he said basically for limit hold'em, he's talking about bankrolls. What are the bankrolls in regards to no-limit cash games versus limit games? You know, we hear about 300 times the big blind, 300 big bets in limit hold'em. And the easiest answer that we can give, Dave, as we said on Friday, is it depends.
Yeah, all the time we get bankroll questions, and it's always the same answer in the sense of, what are your financial, where are you at? Are you living at home or are you living by yourself? Do you have 2 kids?
Do you have another source of income?
Right. Are you
have a job?
working?
Yeah.
Are you a professional poker player? What do you do?
35.
$35 raise here on the button.
Because obviously it makes a huge amount of difference.
Look at this. The button's trying to pick up the dead money. He's got 8 deuce offsuit here. I think that players do play a little bit looser sometimes on this show, try to give off like an action image.
Maybe.
I mean, I got to tell you, George was not playing like this in the 5-10 game this afternoon when playing for higher stakes.
Right.
Chuck is going to make the call here, heads up with Jack 9.
5.
Well, you wonder if it's smaller stakes and maybe that's got to mix it up a little bit. Both players miss.
Imagine, though, if Chuck checks and, George bets, unless Chuck is going to make a move, George is going to take it down.
I'm assuming that's why George called in the button, right? Yeah. I mean, you're not calling with 8 deuce on the button to hit your hands.
Raise pre-flop, right?
How can I win if I don't bet that?
George graduated, though.
And he shows 8 deuce.
Yep.
How can I win?
There it is.
One of my favorite things I always like to say that somebody checks to me and I look at him, I go, man, I'm sorry, I have to bet. And they go, you have to? I go, I have to bet.
Again, I told
And then I show it to him, I go, because I can't win unless I bet.
In the beginning of the show, I mean, a lot of people say, well, do you guys sometimes think you have an advantage because you see some of the players? And I don't think it's because we see the players just because we actually have more experience. I consider this experience. But I got to tell you, I told you earlier in the show, I came over the top of Chuck in the big blind with ace-8 on Friday night because I knew he would raise with a lot of garbage in late position from watching the show.
But you can also, you can get that from sitting in any
Absolutely.
game. I mean, I was playing last night with a bunch of players that I didn't really know from the show.
Yeah.
After about an hour and a half of playing with them, I kind of had a good feel where everybody was at.
Email here from Bernie Mackinson-Gay. He says, I'm never buying another John Borhaus book again. There you go. 3-way action limped around.
I'm sure John will love that. Two pair for Craig.
Queen 7 here. Craig's going to lead out with the 7.
I like the bet here. I like the bet especially if Craig also bets when he has queens here.
Yeah.
Flop once again is Queen 7. There it is. If you bet when you have a 7, you also bet when you have a diamond draw, and you also bet when you have a queen, or, it's really hard to make a move at you.
Email here from Brent Cook. He says, first of all, after last night's show, I picked up a second wife. So I got that going for me now.
Hey, congratulations, Brent.
And he also said, I was impressed by Dave going out and confronting the table about soft play. He says, you won't see that type of soft playing in smaller games. Isn't that ass backwards? Because I guess sometimes you see it in bigger games. But we have seen it in this game, though, before.
Yeah.
Remember, there was one ridiculous night with the gentleman St. John, who we haven't seen in the show in a while, had 4 of his buddies on the table, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
they
that
weren't
was
betting against 4 people. $25 raise here by Vorhaus with Jack 10 of hearts.
Yeah, obviously, we've learned over the last year, we've learned what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
So we're going to try to nip problems in the bud as quick as we can.
Queen 5-10 here. Hami called him a 6-8. Vorhaus has got middle pair. He's going to continue to bet. He bets half the size of the pot here.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
And he's going to take it down.
I guess John Borhaus' style is he likes to keep these pots small unless he has a big hand.
Yep.
He kind of bets half the pot. But back to that bankroll question. It's funny because so many people come into the casino and actually ask me that too. I'm like, man, it's almost impossible. I mean, it's like a financial advisor just giving you blanket advice on what to do with your investments without knowing your specific situation.
I mean, I think that I've heard almost kind of, I guess what is a rule of thumb if you're trying to play limit hold'em professionally, that you should have 6 months of backup expenses and 300 big bets. I've gone through, this past 4 months, the end of last year, I went through a 300 big bet swing in limit hold'em. And that was a lot of money. Luckily, I've made that all back and more in the first 2 months and no limit this game in this year. But what I'm saying is that sometimes I don't even know if that's enough, 300 big bets to limit. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I like the 6 months of living expenses rule. Yeah. That's if you're going to be a just pure professional poker player. New player in seat number 6.
6-way action here. Michael is in seat 6, new player. limped around here. 4, 5, 3.
Now, is that pronounced Michael or Michelle?
Oh, I hate that.
I'll have to have some sort of clarification.
Yeah. It's Mikael.
Aaron's got a gut shot to the 6, and he's got diamonds. He's going to make a strong semi-bluff here.
Well, that's a big hand Aaron has, huh?
You can see that he's actually favored over
Parviz.
Parviz there. With
Yeah,
his
who's got a
four.
pair and an open-ended straight draw. Obviously, if a 6 were to come, deuce 4 would be no good. He throws it away.
Well, Jaime is going to call. He's open-ended here with the 6. The turn is a 7, and Jaime hits it.
Wow.
He checks. And what is, you throw that bet out there, what would Jaime have called me with a flop? He takes a card. I actually like that play. And here we go to the river. The river's a 9.
Yeah, against Jaime, I'd love to play. Take the card.
And now Jaime's going to bet here. And you know what? I think, you pick your spots. Are you going to call him there with a pair of 7s? No. He's going to fold.
Jaime is not one person I really want to mix it up with. He's a pretty good player. He's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Knows how to play the game. He's not going to give me too much action. One of the first things I do when I sit down at a game is I kind of look around.
Size the table.
Yeah, you try to figure out who am I going to get my action from? Who do I want to mix it up with? If I can't find anybody, then I get up.
Oh, man. It's funny. Somebody asked on 2+2 last night at the end of the thread. I actually posted a conclusion thread because someone said, well, what did C5 say to George that made him go all off? And I said that Dave and I were actually trying to go more Jive Dadson in the show. But nothing was actually said. It was
Where
George
is good old
going on
Jive
delayed
Dadson?
tilt. So I'm sure Ramstone that people will fill you in on that, what that means.
Oh, man.
Chuck is going to raise it up here to 45.
Wow, now this is interesting here. Seat number 5, Jaime, he's going to call with a badly dominated hand, but he's calling Chuck, and Chuck raises it often, so he doesn't even know where he's at.
Yeah, Chuck could be doing that with garbage. I might come over the top of Chuck there with that hand with ace queen. King 7-7 here.
Oh, you hurt my feelings.
It's one of the things, obviously, by playing more hands, you get more action. And crazy or not, this might be one of the few times. Now he raised pre-flop, so you don't really believe it. It's one of the few times you see sometimes a cagey no-limit player actually checking that flop.
With a paired board, right?
Yeah, it's
because there's
king
nothing that's really going to hurt you. I mean, there are 2 spades out there, but
I mean, man, it's really got to come up odd for you to get caught. I mean, for you to lose that one.
I'm gonna tell the truth, man. Anytime this guy comes on pot, I am ready.
Just, I think he actually had the ace of spades as well on his hands.
we had ace, king, and diamonds.
Oh, he did? Okay,
Yeah,
I thought he
yeah.
had spades.
Yeah. Button moves over here to seat 5 behind me. I actually did a username search on Jive Dadson last night at my house on the 2+2 thread. I wanted to see if he had made some posts in the past, but I couldn't find him there. He's been off. And he might have, been playing a little too much, no limit 5-card draw.
Yeah.
Tired himself out.
That can really wear you out, 5-card draw.
4-way action, limped around.
It's a crazy, crazy game.
5-3-5 here on the flop. A couple people have 3s here. Oh, actually, just one person, Chuck. And
Craig's
gonna,
open-ended.
Yeah, Craig's going to bet with an open-ended straight draw, and he's going to take it down.
Yeah.
Not only is he not straddling, he's taking the straddle away from me.
Button is over in seat number 6. That's Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, this one's for C3.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron's going to straddle here.
Yeah, John Borehouse away from the table.
So Ray just said that Culpepper only got traded for a second-round draft pick.
Yeah, actually, most of the teams only offered a 3rd-round pick, and finally Miami upped their offer to a 2nd-round
I don't
pick.
necessarily know about how all salary cap and all that stuff works, but in the NFL, you never see player-for-player trades.
Not during the season, that
Some
is.
sort of salary cap implication, even off-seasons, almost always for draft picks.
Yeah, usually in the offseason you can do it because you can make a trade and then cut people and so
Yeah,
forth
yeah.
to make it work. But you'll never see, almost never you'll see it in season.
We know
Why?
that
Because the
Jim-
salaries would have to be the same.
I mean, a couple of years ago, Clinton Portis, a running back for the Denver Broncos, was actually traded for Champ Bailey, who was a cornerback for the Redskins. And it was basically a one-for-one deal.
Well, we got a raise here by Jaime with King Jack of Diamonds. Aaron's in the straddle spot.
Which more money you got?
35. Oh.
He's not going to get involved.
Button good dealer. Small blind good.
Wait, is that a whole bunch of guacamole back there? See that little cup of green stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you can never have enough guacamole.
Yeah. Hey, that's one of the other things funny. There were some foods when I was younger that I never used to like. Didn't really like avocados, and I moved out here. Now I can't get enough of them. They grow on the trees out here,
They're
man.
great,
Yeah. They're all over the place.
It's one thing I love. The one thing I love about Southern California, the other day my wife is cooking food,
Yeah.
and we did not have a lemon or a lime, and we needed both of them. I just went outside. I walked down the street. I went to my neighbor's. I took a lime. I grabbed my lemon tray. It's like,
You can't do that in upstate New York?
no, probably not.
Seat number 3 here is going to, I believe, did he straddle or he just raised it to 10?
Is it up to me?
Minnie raised it here to 10.
I'm absolutely garbage, dude. I need it so, like, I don't even know what I need.
5-way action here, $50 pot. Queen 5 offsuit is in the hand over there in seat number 9. 10 deuce 4 rainbow on the flop.
Let's go play that.
Well, Michael's got Jack 10 in the cutoff. Let's see if he's going to bet here, and he does.
60.
He bet 60.
He's too quiet. He's too quiet. I can't put him on a hit.
And he's going to take it down.
This is what I need.
I'll tell you, going back to the NFL just for a second there. I'm really excited that the New Orleans Saints actually got Drew Brees because now they won't draft Matt Leinart. And the Jets with the 4th pick now actually don't have to trade up, and they might get Matt Leinart with the 4th pick, which is, I was really excited about.
Take a look at another chip count here. Again, we brought more chips on the table. We were at 5,000 last time. Now we're over 6. Let's take a look at how these players are doing and see who the big chip winners are so far.
There it is.
Ivy up 850.
Wow. And some people, yeah, compared to like our big Friday night game, sometimes people go, that's not that much money. Remember, these guys only bought in for 500.
Right.
You know, he's almost tripled his money. He's almost doubled his money there. Actually, tripled his money. I'm sorry.
We got a raise here by seat number 7 with pocket 6s to 30. And he's played it really tight. And look at this. George is going to come over the top and mini raise him with 8s on the button. And 6s call.
This side of the table.
Well, you got to think that maybe 6s is probably trying to play this like trying to hit a set here.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, even if rags come out, we're going to get
means I don't
involved against a
have
re-raiser. Ace 9-5 here. Probably going to go bet. Wow, it's check.
Yeah.
Turns another ace.
Well, that makes your 8 a little stronger. You
Check
think,
again. And the river is another ace, and both players have full houses. Do you bet 8s now for value?
I think you have to.
And the other one's
Nope.
got cocky.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, you think if your opponent has a 9 or better, wouldn't you have heard of him from at some point? I mean, 8s have to be the nuts there, don't they?
I'm still surprised. I mean, you know, you look at it, and you're giving a free card on the flop because you're looking at it, and there are overcard possibilities to pocket 8s. Now on the turn, even more so, you're giving another card. I mean, if a 10, a jack, a queen, or a king come, you could easily let the other guy get there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily hate the check and the check on the flop of the turn because you are inducing a bluff, but I think on the river when it gets checked, I think you need to put a little bit of value bet in there, and I think you might get called by pocket 5s. Or in that case, pocket 6s.
What do we got here?
Once again, we're live at the bike, folks. I'm David Tuckman here with Bart Hanson. You can catch us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Tonight, we're watching No Limit Hold'em. Blinds are 5 and 5. But everybody's been straddling, so it's kind of playing like a 5-5-10 game, blind-wise. Game's playing a little bit bigger.
We get a raise here by George with ace jack. Parviz is going to call with ace queen.
And when the ace comes out, does George get in trouble?
Don't let him go away.
Well,
King, queen, 4 here.
well, George has got a gut shot. And I think, did seat number 4, is he actually showing the ace?
He's showing both cards, and it just gets checked down. That's strange. I don't know why.
The whole way.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
That's what happens when you have a real hand.
I don't.
You lose.
I got to tell you, I mean, if I have ace queen there, do you really want to give away? I mean, I know it's not. I know you love your hand, but do you really want to give away 3 cards there and just let your opponent get there?
Email question here from Bill from Chicago.
We had a better hand.
He says, I'm moving from 1-2 limit online to 25 and 50 max no limit. I've been doing well.
Happy I checked that one with you, sir.
My question is, how do the skill levels compare from, say, 500 max buy-in at a brick and mortar versus 400 max buy-in online?
Yeah, 60 bucks.
Well, I've actually have not played that much online anymore, dude, because I think my hourly is much, much higher here in the 5-10 game. So I've actually cut a lot of my online play out.
Right.
A lot of times people say, the online games are much, much harder, and that, say, a 500 brick and mortar game might be like a $100 game online, because people are playing multi-tables.
Thanks for the email, Bill. Appreciate it if that helps. Yeah,
Six-way action.
I wish I could help him. Obviously, I don't
Yeah.
play really online that much. I just don't trust it.
King 4-7 here, a couple diamonds. And Chuck is going to bet 30 here with middle pair. Well, Parviz is going to muck the king deuce. Well, I have no problem with that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He was in the blind with king deuce. He flops top pair. Why even get involved
Well,
sometimes?
you know, the funny thing is that I know you had been saying this recently, and I usually play on Absolute. You know, I'll play what's called their no limit $4 game, which is 2-4, but you actually can buy in 200 times the blind.
Right.
So you can buy in for 800. I played that and the 1-2 game where you can buy in for 400, and I'm comfortable multi-tabling those games. But sometimes they have a game on there which is $10 no limit, which is 5-10 no limit with a $2,000 max buy-in. And I played around with that a bit, but then I got to thinking, Dave, kind of your little voice in the back of my head. I'm like, boy, these stakes are really, really big to play on one table. Is there possibly a chance that do I want to flush $2,000 down the drain when I can't necessarily trust it?
I mean, you also wonder if you win a couple of hands and suddenly you're up to 35 or 100 or 4,000.
Yeah.
Man, you can get involved in a big hand.
Online, yeah, it's
I mean, call me old-fashioned. I'm just,
Michael's got pocket kings here in seat 6.
I kind of like to face my adversary.
Well, I think, yeah, it's definitely for you. He's going to raise it to 120 here, and he's going to take it down.
Ace 10's not going to get involved.
Although, like I said, I do think that there's a lot of money to be made, say, multi-tabling smaller no-limit games, where I'm not necessarily real scared of the stakes at one table taking a real bad beat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I will use online poker to win my way into bigger tournaments. You know, I'm definitely going to try to win my way in to get the World Series.
Right.
You know, say Legends of Poker and so forth and so on. But in terms of live cash games, you know, I get my fill from brick and mortar.
Buttons moved over here to seat 6, or seat 4. Why do I always do that? Don't understand it. And C2's got an ace-king, and he's going to raise.
Oh, yeah, ace-king, a king 10 out there, queen 10. We've got hearts and spades everywhere, folks.
I need one more
Greg
call.
brings it in with big slick suited. Chuck's going to call with 7-4 of diamonds. See if Jaime comes in there with 6-5. He's in there. And Michael's going to come in with king 10 suited.
All right, I'll call.
You know what? I don't like your hand anymore.
Well, that's going to bring,
Can I get my 2 cards?
that brings Forehouse to me. Don't know what he has, though.
Where's
Can't see his hand.
Warehouse's cards? Oh, he's not in the hand, I don't think.
Oh, there you go. I thought I saw
Yeah.
put chips in there. I'm going, what's going on?
6-way action here. Wow, and Chuck flops a flush.
Wow, he's got a straight flush draw.
No one else has a diamond.
No, George has ace-4. He's got a wheel draw with the bottom ace. A wheel draw with an ace.
Now, I really like this bet when you flop a small flush, Dave. I don't know why anybody checks this, especially when was in position. I mean, he was last to act there. Why would you check that? I would never understand.
I'm just curious, now, does George get involved? And if he gets involved, does Craig W. get involved?
Well, you know, Craig actually didn't bet out on the board either. He was second last to act with ace king. He did not call. He did not bet out.
Now, by not betting out, you have no idea where you're at. I mean,
Right.
couldn't Chuck just be making a play with, say, a
Absolutely.
random...
We talk about a 3 flush with an ace out there. He could have 2 black. He could have 8-9 suited here. Well, I mean, making the bet because he knows it's very difficult for anybody to call.
Well, he's last in position. Everybody's checked to him.
Right.
Why wouldn't he take a shot at it?
Kind of surprising that Craig didn't bet out on that flop.
I mean, unless somebody has an ace with a high diamond, like the king of diamonds, queen of diamonds, or jack of diamonds, it is really hard for him to call.
Because we don't even know if Craig's going to come in here. Now, we got George. Now, this hand is really, really speculative on a 3 flush board, ace-4 spades. I don't know why you'd get involved with this.
In this kind of hand, you can't even beat a real ace.
Right.
Now, Craig's hand's a little bit different, obviously. He's out of position, but he does have a big ace.
And he's going to make the check call.
I would have rather see the bet by Craig W. and see what Chuck does to that.
Right. Especially when you're second to last to act.
Yeah, now he's got no information here, and Craig W.'s only got about $100 behind him.
Turns a deuce, and look at that, ace-4 would have made it there. It gets checked over to Chuck. He bets. Well, now Craig can't even beat a 4, but he makes the call anyways. And Chuck played the flush hard, and it didn't matter. And look at it, the river's a 6, and he makes the straight flush.
Yeah.
He's got the 7-high straight flush there. 2 cards, straight flush.
I had ace-4. I call you, I make a straight on the turn.
There it is.
Yeah, 3 by 5.
And talk about reverse implied odds. Reverse implied odds, we always talk about implied odds. Obviously, if you hit your hand, how much money can you make? But we always talk about a reverse implied, obviously, if you hit your hand, how much money can you lose?
Right.
And in that case, ace 4 of spades. There was huge reverse implied odds because the deuce of spades would have brought George a straight, and he might have lost $400 or $500 there.
Something must have happened a long time ago. Straddle.
Craig's going back into his pocket. We're about halfway through the show here tonight.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't like it.
Yeah.
I always think that those people from Northern California are a bit oddball.
Say no.
I didn't say that.
Oh, I missed my straddle.
Is that my dinner?
I think Ray is from Northern California, and Ray's a big guy. Now Ronnie and Isaac are from Northern California, but they're not that big, so I'm not scared. But Ray, that scares me.
Fly in over the top.
No.
Limbs are around here. We need to see Chuck's cards over in C3.
Well, Isaac's a UFC fan, so
Yeah, you might know all the moves.
yeah, exactly. Put the sleeper hold on you or something like that.
4-ounce boxing gloves. Break them out. Queen Jack 8 here. A couple clubs.
Go ahead.
Well, Michael's got top pair here. He's got a gut shot to the 9. And Chuck is going to bet out here. Wow, Chuck has flopped a straight with a flush draw. Unbelievable. And an open-ended straight flush draw. He bets it.
Can he make back-to-back straight flushes?
Man, this is crazy. Open-ended straight flush. He bets.
Have we ever seen back-to-back straight flushes
I don't
here?
think so. Turns a 5. And now Michael's going to come out and lead.
Oh, wow. Well, he doesn't want to give out a free card in case Chuck was on a draw. And Chuck is on a draw. He just happens to be there already.
He bet 75, and Chuck is just going to call.
Oh, really? Wow. Why wouldn't you raise that?
No, he does raise. He does raise. I was
Okay.
going to say, I always love to raise here. He's going to raise here again.
Well, you got to build a pot for yourself.
Yeah.
You got to make it. And there you go. The interesting thing is that if this guy, if Michael
How much has he
calls-
raised here?
Yeah.
460 total. Wow,
that's a big raise.
You got white chips over there?
See, the interesting thing, I was
wow.
actually going to say,
Yeah.
I would have liked it if he raised it just 100.
Right, just build the pot up a little
Build
bit.
a pot up. Then on the river, you can throw in 300.
Right.
Obviously, there's nothing you're scared of. 9-10 clubs.
Not a monster flop.
Yeah, huge hand. And I believe Michael bet 60, and he made it 460, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Now, let's say you make it. Let's say he makes it 60, and you make it say 180. Okay. Now your opponent calls you because you kind of priced him in. Suddenly the pot is about. Now the pot's suddenly close to $550, and then on the river, when he checks to you, you can bet $200, and he'll probably pay you off, even $250, and you pretty much get all of Michael's money.
Live straddle here by seat 9.
Who live straddle? Oh, God.
Buttons over there in seat 6. Michael. And this one looks like it's going to get limped around here. And it does.
Check blind. Strong play.
4-way action here.
I love it.
Borehouse is going to check blind with king
Bet
10.
more.
We got 3 kings dead. Deuce 5-4. And this is something that George kind of, you like it, Dave. Borehouse checks blind. George says, I bet blind. Now, he's not heads up. He's got 2 people to act after him.
Right.
But he actually flopped top pair, and he's got the best hand.
Yeah, why not?
He knew
I
it was
bet
coming.
blind, and look at this.
I don't mind that though. Somebody's gonna check blind for me, and I have ace king. I pretty much go. You know what? I'm going to bet no matter what. I'll throw some money in there.
Crazy.
Interesting post on 2+2 from 22 Skidoo. Hey Tuck, speaking of food, don't you wish you were me? I spent the last 24 hours gorging on Jewish caviar. I'm not quite sure I understand where he's going with that. But that looks really nasty.
So no one is explained to Ramstone what going jive Dabson means? No one's out there? Kevin now? Russ McGinley? Any of the old school people?
I like it.
Baron Bangor Toth?
Get a raise here from Craig in seat 7. He's got ace. I'm sorry, he's got jack 9 offsuit. And I think George is going to call with king 9 of spades. He's going to call with king 9 of spades in the blind. That's going to bring Jaime in with 7-8 of diamonds. And you know what? Seat 6 Michael's going to call with ace 10 suited. And we're going 4 ways. The pot is quickly $85.
Craig pre-flop raiser with jack 9, and he flops top pair. He's got the best hand. Well, actually, George has outkicked him.
Yeah. And I guess if you have king 9 of spades, that's not a bad flop for king 9 of spades.
Well, Craig is going to lead here. He's going to bet 60,
I
kind
mean,
of a weak bet.
I'd rather hit my 9 than my king, that's for sure. And a raised pot.
King 9 is going to make the call here.
Yeah, and Craig's in bad shape, really. Needs a jack and only a jack.
Turns a 5.
Yeah, a deuce or a 9 would chop it up.
And now George is going to check call and lead out here on the turn.
Yeah.
He bets 60, and Craig calls. And this pot is quickly over $300.
If a heart doesn't come, do you put a nice value bet in there? I think you do here.
River is an 8. He bets 60 here again. Well, it's kind of a little bit of a stop bet. I mean, you don't think that Craig might play an overpair in the same way, might be scared of 3 deuces there?
I guess so. You make a good point there, obviously, because George was in the blind.
I mean, oftentimes we'll see good no-limit players bet that flop. Say they bet the flop with kings or queens, Dave, and the turn comes 5. You might see a guy like, you might see a guy like Mo check the turn, check behind the turn. Now, there were 2 hearts out there, but...
Now, he bet into him, actually.
Right,
so.
right. But I'm saying that, actually, I was wondering if
would,
seat 9 checked, would Craig have bet with jack 9 there on the turn?
Right. And if Craig he has 10s or jacks, does he play it much differently? I'm not sure.
Right.
He might just check. He might just call away.
Right.
70 years old, I'm tired. So what?
You're the only other
Good point.
person straddling. You leave, what are we going to do?
And once again, it's kind of a quiet night here at the bike. Rare this month. This month we've actually been humming with action.
What?
And because of the hose tournament tonight, kind of quiet.
Nobody's going to give you action now that you're...
But tomorrow the action will be back because we've got our No Limit Hold'em tournament, and that starts at 4:15 p.m.
We'll have that big 25-50 game going.
Oh yeah, and that game should be crazy tomorrow night. We'll probably have 3 tables tomorrow night.
Parviz is going to bring this one in here with pocket kings out of C4. Chuck had made a little mini re-raise with Queen 10 of clubs to 20, and he's going to call.
Yeah, this pot's quickly about $120, right?
No.
He re-raised to 60, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Jack 8 deuce here. Parviz's got the overpair.
Yeah.
He's going to bet big.
Chuck's got a gut shot. Now, the only thing I'm wondering is, I understand raising with $20 with Queen 10. That's Chuck's style. But when your opponent to your left, and you're out of position, re-raises you to 60, and he only has $400 behind, do you really want to call off an additional $40 with Queen 10 of clubs? Now, if he's got $800 or $900, obviously it's a big difference.
And Johnny has put up a little post here about what Jive Dadson was, but that's actually not the explanation that I was going for. I wasn't hinting at the fact, if you don't like it, don't watch, which I think is what somebody said to Jive. And again,
I mean, and if I remember correctly, Jive Dadson was very, very critical of you, or was Shirley? Actually?
Everyone, but it was for a reason. And again, that reason I was trying to wonder if some of the old school people were.
I thought he liked me. I didn't think he was critical of me.
I think he liked the show. He was just critical of one aspect of it.
Oh, he always wanted more table talk.
See, you ruined it, Dave.
I'm sorry. He was like all for that. He was like, table talk.
Somebody's lurking somewhere.
King Jack Deuce here, limped around.
2 players hit their king. Obviously, King 3 is not in good shape. He's in seat 2.
Well, he's going to come out lead for 20 here with King 3. We don't have it up there yet.
And Michael's going to call this King 10.
Yep.
I'm going to take that seat. He's not leaving.
We're heads up here to the turn.
Yeah, this
Turns
is
queens.
Michael's now open-ended.
When you fire out there with King 3 once, and he's going to bet again. He bets 20 again. And King
Kind of
10
a
calls.
weak little blocker bet there, huh?
Oh, here we go to the river. River's a deuce.
This is going
And
to get
that
chopped
saves
up.
it.
Yeah.
Both players are going to play kings and deuces with the queen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nice river there. And if your opponent can't bet this, can you?
You bet him off of a chop.
Well, that's the thing. If your opponent, could your opponent be betting here? Could he be checking, say, trying to think of a hand, King Jack or King Queen here, or a straight, or a deuce? I mean, once in a while we do see the check raise here. Some people like to check raise the river. Right. No limit holding.
Again. Oh, look at this. Look, we got an email from Jive Dadson. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, this is great. And he starts it off. Jive Dadson, my operatives inform me that you have been bandying my name about having run out of interesting topics to keep your listeners' attention off the game. No doubt you have found that fascinating subjects like avocados and words that start with AA are difficult to come up with constantly
Loudly
and
and
unrelentingly.
unrelentingly.
How about more discussions of stop bets? In answer to your question, Jive Dadson has been traveling extensively. Next week, which is to say I, will be in Paris with a beautiful Asian woman whom I met on a trip in Austria last October. Bart, eat your liver.
I remember him. He was talking about the fact that he met an Asian woman.
Jive
way back
Dadson.
when. There it is. So I guess he still occasionally listens to the show.
Well, his operatives informed him. Well, thank you for your email, Jive. We missed you.
Yeah, let me guess. Blinds are going up, right?
Let's see a flop.
Limped around here.
Show me, I'll tell you.
Four-way action here. Queen 9-6 with a couple spades.
30.
And Chuck is going to come out and lead here with Queen 7. And seat number 8, who's not John now, it's actually the old seat 7 is going to call with an open-ended straight draw. Turns a 5. And it's going to go check, check. And the river here is an 8, and Jack 10 makes it. And Chuck is going to bet out here, Dave. But Jack 10 has made the straight here, and that is Michael. Or that's Craig, excuse me, over there.
Yeah.
And he has the absolute nuts right now. Because Chuck made the straight. Chuck bet out with the straight. He's got the straight with the 7 there.
Yeah.
And he moves all in. John has moved all in here. Chuck shows him the 7, and it looks like he's got a muck here.
Yeah, I think it's an easy lay down there.
Yep.
I like the move in there. Oftentimes you will get called by somebody with a 7 who's kind of stubborn. One little interesting fact about Jack 10. If you ever make a straight with Jack 10 using both cards, it is always the nuts straight.
Always the nut straight.
Always the nuts straight, right? If you're using both cards.
Yeah.
He used to say that.
Then I won't say it.
New player coming in is seat number 6. That is
Ooh.
Ida, right?
Yeah, she's action.
We run into a
Ida?
stand on this
And
side.
she played in our 25-50 game a couple times too, didn't she?
Did she really? Wow.
Plays all different levels.
I don't know how these guys play.
That's interesting.
Pocket kings here for Jaime in seat 5.
Straddle everything.
Pocket deuces for John Morehouse. I'd love to see how he plays it. He's in a big line with deuces.
Holding all night.
And
was Jaime in the straddle?
Yeah, Jaime's in the straddle. He's got the and look at this. The button raises with the ace king of clubs, Dave. So the button's got a real hand as well.
Wow, and you know it was the ace king only made it 25, and Jaime did. I'm sorry, and John Morehouse did not call for 20 more with pocket deuces. Did not think he had the implied odds to go for it.
Jaime raises it up to 80 here, and ace king is in a world of hurt. We can see one of the aces is dead. It's 55 more for him to call here.
Yeah, obviously in bad shape. And sometimes in a game like this, you're just too short stacked to get away from it. I mean, might you just move in here, or just is it almost? Are you in a spot where you move in or fold with ace king clubs?
Well, here we go to the flop. Queen 4-7.
Queen 7 last time.
Because now you're in a spot where your opponent's going to bet and you can't possibly call.
150.
So you're basically calling $80 just to see 3 cards. You're only going to hit that flop 1 out of 3 times. In this case, obviously, you're in bad shape.
Turn card would have been an ace, Dave. Ace
There
of
you go.
spades on the turn. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting. I'm not a big fan of overplaying ace-king, but sometimes in these restricted buy-in games, you almost have to play it like a little bit like a tournament when you're short-stacked.
Right.
And if you raise, and somebody makes it 3 raises, and it ends up being more than 30% of your stack, let's say you only have $200, and the guy makes it 80, I'm not going to just call it ace-king. I'm either going to muck it or I'm going to move all in, so I'm going to see all 5 cards at least.
Oh, really?
Give you a chance to win it, man. Next time I go all in.
Other news today off the NFL front. Look at all the. We're like a newswire here. Keyshawn Johnson, Meeshawn, over in Dallas, was released. Terrell Owens was actually formally released from Philadelphia. And the word is that Terrell Owens to Dallas is all but done deal.
Really?
Yeah.
What do we do that?
And do you think Parcells is going to be able to quash him?
Just 40.
Yeah, for 1 year, because T.O. will want the money.
George, just on count.
We got a raise here by George with pocket 5s, and he is going to take it down.
You gonna win like Mags?
But that's an interesting thing, now that Michon Johnson is out on the market.
Well,
But,
Parcells is definitely that type of coach. He's not going to back down any player. He doesn't give a damn.
he'll release him in 2 seconds. He could care less. And Tio's going to have to play he's going to have to play good soldier for at least 1 year so he can get paid. I mean, he was great for 1 year in Philadelphia, too, wasn't he?
I can't wait until Keyshawn starts talking shit about Bledsoe. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Keyshawn's one of the most overrated. I mean, being a Jet fan where he went there first, he's one of the most overrated receivers. He's just...
Only because I know that they're all
Little raise here by seat 8 with King Queen suited. George is going to call it King 10 and seat 9. Seat 2 calls with pocket 9s. Chuck's in there with Jack Deuce. And Vorhaus has Ace Queen off on the button. He's just going to make the call.
Yeah.
Pocket 8s for seat 5. Wow.
Now, sometimes Ace Queen offsuit on the button there. I might even re-raise that.
A thinning re-raise, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't want to play Ace Queen against that many players. Now I have no idea.
And
where
look
I'm
at this. Jaime flops the set, and Vorhaus has top pair.
And that's one of the reasons I raised with Ace Queen on the button there is I want to get a little more information.
Well, it gets checked over to Vorhaus. Jaime did not bet the set, and now he's going to check raise here. He's going to make it 160.
There's a pretty good chance somebody's raising.
And I'll throw something at you. I think Jaime misplayed this hand by not betting.
I do too.
Because if he bets $50, he might get called in 1 or 2 spots. Then gets a raise from Ace Queen, and then he can re-raise, and he already has people in between.
Well, let's see what Vorhaus is going to do here. This should be an easy laydown against Jaime, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Unless
probably.
Jaime was doing this maybe with the ace with a spade draw.
It's almost the exact flop it was last time. I guess somebody had set of 8s against him.
Jaime's made it 100 more. He check raised 100 more here.
I mean, the question is, would Jaime do this with a hand as weak as Ace-Jack?
The pot is about 280 here.
Yeah, there's no way Jaime's got a flush draw here. It's just not. It doesn't make sense here. He's gonna just call or fold.
It's a $280 pot, $100 to call.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, and he moves all in with the sucker hand. Power poker by John Vorhaus.
Yeah, I mean, I really like John
Killer
Vorhaus.
poker.
He's a great guy, and he's trying to get here.
4, Rivers is 7.
I mean, John is a really good guy. He's obviously a pretty good poker player.
Yeah.
But I think he badly misplayed this hand. Ace Queen, I was going to say Ace Queen offsuit, does not play well in multi-way pots. It's really difficult to know where your 6 opponents are at, even if you flop an ace.
Yeah.
If he re-raises, and I don't even mind just folding Ace Queen offsuit there. But if I'm going to play it, I'm going to re-raise it up to $80, thin the field out, and then I'll have an idea where my
Well,
opponents
and
are
if
at.
you did play it that way, there's no way you're getting involved against Jaime's check raise, are you?
Yeah, and I think John Vorhaus is done. He's taking a beating today. He's stuck $1,000, and he's had enough. But you know what I mean? Though? You just get no information. Somebody makes $20. Okay, so everybody's calling with 6-5, 7-9,
Right.
pocket 3s, and you have no idea where Ace Queen's at.
Button raise here by Jaime with pocket 5s, and he is really in command of this table right now.
Yeah. Oh, he's just dominating. He's hitting some big hands, and he's getting paid off.
And he's going to take it down. Interesting email here from Brent Cook. He's referring to the terminology going south, and this was actually on last night's episode of GSN's High Stakes Poker, and I did watch it. And some of the players, Dave, were accusing Freddie Deeb of going south, and everyone who doesn't know what going south refers to is taking chips off the table. Freddie Deeb went out to smoke a cigarette, and they accused him of taking chips off the table, even though he didn't. Brent Cook's question is this allowed at the bike? And if so, is it frowned upon? Well, it's not allowed at the bike. You cannot take chips off the table. Now, where you have to watch people is when you've got a must-move game going, and sometimes people try to pocket chips when they're moving tables in between the must-move and the main game.
I mean, sometimes if you're really uncomfortable playing, let's say you bought him for $1,500 and you worked up to $5,000, and you're uncomfortable with that much money, take a 30-minute break, step out of the game,
come back right back in,
and then you can rebuy it at $1,500. But unfortunately, you cannot sit there and take money off the table. Well, or fortunately, actually, I think.
We had a raise here by Chuck. Was he the straddles? That's weird because I don't know what went on because it looked like he raised after everyone else had limped. Jack 9 deuce here.
And Michael with top pair.
Straddle. He raised his straddle.
Oh, it was seat 9 who raised the straddle there, Dave. That's
There
what
you go.
happened.
And Michael did not bet it. Turns of 5.
George did not bet the
140.
the raise when he raised out of the straddle. Now Michael's going to bet.
Wow, that's a big bet.
He's going to bet 140 here.
Man. I guess he's pretty sure he's got the best hand, and he's going to take it down right now, I'm sure.
Chuck's got a gut shot to the 8.
I mean, another thing with the ace-queen offsuit that Borhaus just played, and some people will say, well, Dave and Bart, you guys always say ace-queen stinks. Why would he even raise it?
Right.
And we always say a lot of times people misconstrue us. They misunderstand us. Oftentimes, if a hand is not strong, that doesn't mean I want to limp in with it and say it cheaply. I'd either rather fold it or raise it up. Ace-queen is not a strong enough hand to see 7 ways, I don't think. And then lose your whole stack to it.
Right.
Thought that might work. 75 was the right amount.
Man, funny thing, if a man rattle for $40, you probably won't give it to him, but you just did one card.
Oh yeah, Jack 10.
Yep.
Button's going to move over there to Michael in seat number 7.
All right, well I'm done making it 40.
Good post on 2+2 by Mark Summers here. Obviously, he has a good grasp of how to play no limit hold'em.
4-way action here, limped around. Queen, 10, Jack, couple of clubs. We got the bottom. Oh no, we don't. 9-10's got a pair in the open.
Yeah, a couple of open and straight draws here.
Check the straddle.
George at the top end of it.
Yeah.
Where's the action? It's on you.
Now, usually when you have a pair and an open-ended straight draw, it's a pretty big hand. But 9-10 is not that big on this kind of flop.
Well, Chuck has played it aggressive, and he's going to continue to play aggressive. He bets 40 here.
Yeah.
And I actually really like the way that Chuck's played tonight because he's played aggressive with his
Yeah,
mediocre
that's why I
hands
wanna
and
use
his
it
really
more.
good hands.
Well, he's adapted his style to this game.
Yeah.
We've seen him. We saw him playing the 10-20 game. I want to say on maybe on Friday.
Yeah, I
was
think
it?
it was Friday.
Um,
We've had 10-20 a bunch over the
Yeah,
last
it's hard to have such a big day. Where he played it a lot more passive because the players like Mike and so forth were in the game.
I'm sorry, players. I gotta be
Does anybody mind? $5?
That's what pushing is.
Don't look out. Wait.
Oh, you haven't.
New player coming into seat 4. It's Julian.
That's a one way to say it.
If nobody minds? Nobody minds $5 here and there?
Almost 500 there for Julian, new player.
$5.
Buttons over in Craig's hand in seat 8. Has that white disc you can see on the
They
screen.
would wonder why chips were flying around the table and stuff like that.
So is that a blind raise to $10?
You can go into your bucket. Yes.
I come.
And once again, you know, Chuck is going to raise it to $10 here, Dave. He really wants to straddle almost every hand.
Yeah. Well, you know what he's trying to do? And I'll throw this at you in a second.
4-way action here. Queen 8-5. Chuck came in with a little raise with Jack 10.
And I think Jaime's got the best hand here. Actually, he's out of the hand.
Checked over to Ida, who does not bet with 4s. Turns an ace, and George hits an ace, and now he's going to come out and bet here with ace-6.
Yeah, and Aaron's actually got a flush draw, and if he had raised that, he might take it down.
He's got a flush draw and a straight draw to
Yeah.
the 10.
He's actually got a double gutter. A 9 or a king would do it.
And Chuck
I'm
also
sorry,
has a
Ida.
double gutter. And the river is a 9, and Chuck makes it with the Jack 10.
Yeah.
100.
And he's going to bet 100 here.
Sorry about that. I actually misread that hand.
Chuck had the double gutter.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Yeah. Chuck's going to bet 100 here. And George really, his hand cannot beat much here.
What a catch by Chuck there. He had to catch a non-heart 9 or a non-heart king to win the hand.
And we can see one of those non-heart, the heart 9 is in Aaron's hand, but what if a heart king came on there?
And is George going to pay him? No, nobody's going to pay him.
No.
Jack,
I know, it's all too obvious.
the double gutter on the 10.
And he says it, points it out. He
Well,
owns
again,
double
you know,
gutter.
with Jack 10 there, you got a bet out there by George. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a dangerous bet there with ace-6 because it gets checked around the flop, but you're up against a pre-flop raiser. That wasn't much. But now an ace appears. Well, someone could easily have an ace. Bet by George and a call by Aaron. A lot of times that's a strong place to semi-bluff raise there as a third player to act there on the turn with Jack 10.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
well, when I came in today and I was talking to you, that's actually the exact play I had last night. The only difference was I had Jack 10, just like Chuck did, but I also had a flush draw. And there was a weak bet and a weak call, and I made a big raise, and some guy with ace-5, actually, very similar, I mean, almost exactly to this hand, called me down, though, and I did not hit my hand. But yes, it is definitely, to me and you, it is a good spot to make a nice hefty raise.
Michael's going to raise here to 100. Ace-queen. And I do not think that Jaime is going to get involved with 7s. He does not. again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. We got a full hour left. Also follow a thread started on 2+2. Go to 2plus2.com, spelled out, click on forums, World Poker Tour, etc. Live the Bike thread for March 14th.
And here's the deal. If this money gets in play, then you're playing it.
Yeah, obviously.
You're playing it. So it's like 3-1.
Take one, Cliff.
I'll tell you when to put it in. It looks like you got
Pocket
another good
kings
idea.
over there for Aaron in seat 1.
Yeah, they've been going around.
Yeah. We haven't seen many aces, but we have seen a lot of kings here tonight.
Nice job, yeah. Well, let them fight it out. I think they're gonna fold. Oh,
And he's going to raise it up.
king
I
over.
love the raising the button. Oftentimes it looks like a steal raising the button.
Oh, absolutely.
But this time he's actually got a real hand. People always assume you're stealing if you're raising on the
I'm not
button.
that good.
Hand is dead.
Well, especially with a guy like the way that Chuck plays, who will raise with a lot of junk from late position. Why not raise with your big hands? And that's what I always get after Corporation Mike for sometimes when he kind of slow plays these big hands. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why do that?
Doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Kind of playing ass backwards.
But Mike has gotten a lot better at betting his big hands. I got to tell you, Barry Woods is in for a surprise when he comes back. Because, you know, it's funny, we saw Barry make a call right before he left with like something like as weak as middle pair against Mike's nut flush when he moved in on the river. You remember that hand with ace
I
nine
do.
spades. And if Barry thinks he's going to make some big calls against Mike, I think he's going to be losing some big money now coming back into the game. You got a $40 raise here
I'm only curious what he brought from New Zealand for us.
by George. 9 deuce offsuit. And Jaime's going to make the call here with ace-8 offsuit from early position. He flops top here, he checks. And George has been coming in with a lot of garbage as well, and he's been showing it, and that's probably why Jaime's in there with ace-8.
Well, I mean, Jaime, we noticed that Jaime really hasn't, given George respect throughout the entire night.
Check call here. Pot's about 180. Wow, the turn's another 8.
And
And
they
this
both
one's going
check.
to go check, check, and the river's a 7.
And is George going to take another shot
Wow,
at
look
it?
at this. Jaime checks again.
You know what? Rarely do I like checking here, but I think he knows that George has got nothing, and George has got to bet at it.
Yeah, he's going to bet 75 here, and he's going to check raise to 175. I was going to say, if you're checking to a neutral bluff, is there any value to raising unless you don't want to show your hand?
I think there's still value to raising in the sense of, hey, you think George has got nothing, but there's always a chance he's got something.
Well, he's check raised it up 100.
And unless he's got 5-6 here, I mean, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably not going to get paid off because I think, like Jaime correctly deduced that George had nothing. But hey, give him credit for inducing that bluff.
And he shows the ace-8.
Obviously, there's no value to not showing when you show anyway.
Right. I was going to say, is he check raising there so he doesn't have to show his hand down?
Right.
Yeah. I just always wonder, though, I mean, the guy checked the turn. Even if he had an overpair, would you really call with an overpair against Jaime's check raise on the river?
Yeah, you probably wouldn't.
Yeah, so I just...
Like you said, it's probably not much value to raising, but I guess with trips and an ace kicker, he feels inclined to at least put a little more money in the pot. Although before we saw him actually just call with the nut flush, hoping to get an overcall behind.
Well,
him.
even, if he check raises there, even for some reason, if George has 5-6, George can't really re-raise, can he?
Yeah, he can only really re-raise with a full house.
Right.
Puts him in a tough spot.
Raise it.
He's going to raise here, and he's mixing it up. He's going to raise with King 7 of spades here. He makes it only 35 more, though.
Out of the big blind after 5 people limped in.
I got to tell you, that's not really putting much pressure, because if Ida comes in and calls, I think maybe everyone else is going to call behind.
Well,
I mean,
Michael's
going to call here.
I imagine George might call. George likes to play.
And now where's your King 7 suited out of position now? He's dominated by Michael.
Right. Stick it in a pipe and smoke it.
I'm going to give it a shot.
And we've got about a $200 pot here going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right, and you've got King 7 out of position. How do you like it?
Jack 6-4.
Wow, 2 pair for George.
Bottom 2 pair for George. Let's see if Michael leads with King Jack now. Jaime checked it.
I think Michael's in trouble here, unfortunately for him.
He's going to bet, and let's see how George plays bottom 2 pair. Again, a very vulnerable hand. You would think that a raise is probably in order here. It is a rainbow board.
And he's going to raise it right away.
Yeah.
I don't think that Michael can get away from this hand here. I mean, he's got a top pair with a king kicker.
He's got $400 behind.
Yeah, he's already in for 100 though. This guy's just made it 300. Do you really think Michael's going to throw it away right now?
I don't know. I mean, he can't beat Ace Jack, obviously.
Can't beat ace jack, can't beat a set.
Yeah. King Jack is not that great of a hand
It's
right
not.
now.
I'd be surprised if you threw it away.
Just from what, seeing the level of this play, you mean, at this table?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't really know Michael well. My gut says he's going to call.
I'm going to disagree with you there, Davey Folds.
Well, that's great. You disagree with me after. way to take a stand there, Bart.
Oh, there you go. You put me on 6-4, really?
Wow.
Table change.
Well,
I mean, it was multi-way. There were a lot of players in there. It's a great laydown by Michael. I just didn't think with a top pair with a pretty good kicker, I didn't think he'd get away from it. But hey,
we see
give
that
him
a lot.
credit.
We see that a lot in deep stack games. I mean, you come out and bet with King Jack here and get raised. Even if you bet with Ace Jack and a good player raises you, you're like, oh boy, what the hell? Where am I?
Yeah, I've had like a
Right, right.
This guy raised with King Jack. Would he raise with Queen Jack? What am I beating here?
It's one of the reasons why I like raising with a hand like in that flop was Jack 6-4. I like raising with a hand like 7-5 also.
Right.
I'll also raise the set, but I'll also raise it 7-5. And when it gets back to you and you've got Ace Jack or King Jack, you now have to determine, is Dave making a play with an open-ended straight draw, or does he have me beat already?
And then, hey, if you're strong enough where I call and throw a bet out in the turn and you raise me again, it really puts me to the test. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily know if you would do that, but
If we're deep enough, it really puts you in a tough spot with only one pair.
three-way action here. Jack 5-3, and George's got top pair there in C9. He's going to lead out.
Yeah, Michael's got a wheel draw. I don't think he'll get involved, though. Well, what do I know? I mean, I'm completely wrong on this guy. He folds top pair, but he's going to call with a wheel draw and an overcard. And there's
There's
the
the
overcard.
overcard. Check here on the turn, and the river's a queen. And Michael's going to come out and bet here with the ace. And now, if you're George, boy,
It's a nice value bet here by Michael. I mean, I think he's pretty sure that his ace is the best hand, hoping that his opponent has a jack. You know, if he missed his draw, you think of a draw that he might have missed, say, 6-4.
6-4. He would have made it with deuce 4. For some reason, he was in there with that.
Right.
That's about all you can beat, is 6-4 right now.
Exactly.
And is it worth it to make this call? The amount of times he would have 6-4 with a $50 bet here with the pot odds.
Yeah, you're getting about 3-1 on your money, and he's going to call.
And the ace is good there.
Yep, nice value bet there by Michael. Makes himself $50.
Again, though, you look at that flop, and Michael chased a wheel draw. I mean, if a 4 comes off, I know you don't necessarily know what George has, but even more of a reason why you wouldn't necessarily go for that draw is that George could be betting with nothing there. And he was actually betting with a rather weak hand Jack 9. I mean, are you really going to get paid off that much by a single Jack
By
with a
hitting
mediocre
it, right.
kicker with a 4 coming?
If you think about it, you go, well, I've got 4 outs at my 4, I've got 3 outs to my ace, I've got 7 outs. Well, 7 outs, that's not really worth it.
Right.
One of the reasons I don't actually...
How about if George was betting with deuce 4?
Yeah, exactly. He could have been betting with an open-ended straight draw and gotten there. One of the reasons, actually, when I talk about some ace-rag suited cards that I like, ace-deuce is actually one of the wheel ones. I don't like that as much because when you do flop a straight, it's always the bottom end of a straight, and you can't flop the nuts there. I like ace-4, though, because if it comes out, deuce 3-5, you do have the nuts. Well, actually, don't have the nuts there. I'm sorry.
Look at this. George raised it with pocket jacks here out of the straddle spot. And John, who's played it tight all night playing the player, he called with queen 4 of hearts. And George is going to bet here. He's going to bet 75. I mean, we haven't seen... And is John going to try to set up a move? He's going to make a call here, Dave. I think he's had enough of George's antics.
He's had enough.
And we've got a $225 pot going to the turn. Wow, the turn's a 3, and now John picks up a heart draw. Now, is George going to bet out here? No, he takes a card. Check. And the river here is an 8. And that is actually not John. That is Craig. And he makes backdoor hearts.
Yeah.
And he's going to bet here. And George has already put out the chips to call. And this guy's made backdoor hearts, and that can't make George feel good.
Surprised George did not bet that. And I know sometimes you like to check that as well. I just think it's too scary, though, just in case this guy has got some garbage hand that he wouldn't have called with.
Yep.
Oftentimes I'd rather bet small, or keep the pot kind of small and then take the free showdown if you can.
Again, if you're up against a guy that you don't think is going to check raise you with a draw, now I think that Craig was definitely going to check raise there on the turn with that draw.
I actually have to correct myself because I must sound like an idiot. Did you realize, I'm just actually figuring this out now. I mean, I've always known it, but I guess I've never really figured it out. Ace, if you have an ace wheel card, you can actually never flop the nut straight.
Yeah, you can never make the nut.
Right, exactly. There's always a 3-6 or 2-6 or 4-6 or something like that. Having said that, I still prefer ace 4 or ace 3 because it's more likely that my opponent, let's say I have ace deuce and the flop comes out 3, 4, 5. It's more likely my opponent would have 6, 7 and have me killed than say 3, 6 or 4, 6.
Wasn't my straddle. I'm not up to lunch. Didn't feel like doing.
Well, also those cards can also bring like one card straight possibilities as opposed to gappers that someone has to fill with 2 cards.
Right, exactly.
9, 6, 7 here with a couple spades, and Chuck is going to lead out here with a flush draw and a gut shot. He bets 40. Not a C3. And Jaime is called here with 8-9. Here we go to the turn. The turn's a 6, and Chuck's made it. Oh, wait, no, he hasn't. He went check, check, excuse me. And the river is a 7.
And Jaime's got the best hand here, 9-8.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't mind the check on the river, obviously.
Yeah. No straight, sir. No straight. You don't have an 8. So I need to kill your ass. I saw his 8. That's okay, I understand.
Yeah, you can't use his 8, Chuck. Sorry.
No.
It's not allowed. Obviously, there's another thing also with ace deuce, getting on this wheel card thing. If the flop comes out 3, 4, 5, and you bet your ace deuce and you get called by a pretty, by a cagey player, do you know if your opponent already has the straight or if they're just calling you with an open-ended straight draw? Say a 6.
New setup coming in.
Don't say that.
Talking about connected suitors, sometimes actually those one gappers down in the wheel card area can be a decent hand because if you flop a big hand, oftentimes it does hit somebody else. Like let's say, for example, you have deuce 5 suited or something like that, and you get lucky enough to flop an ace 3, 4. Well, the likelihood is if it's a raised pot, oftentimes your opponent will have the ace, and you might actually get paid. And that's kind of the nature, and that's what we saw from that 2+2 post from that great Albany fan. He was saying, the nature of No Limit Hold'em, you're always looking for pots that you can win. You're always looking for hands that you can win big pots with in No Limit Hold'em. Button moves over to seat 8, and we get raised there. Craig's going to raise it up with 6-5 suited on the button. And he's going to get called by deuce 5 in seat 9. It's deuce 5 offsuit, though. And it's out of position. I don't really like to play that hand out of position. Ace 9 is going to call. And Chuck's going to call, too, with ace 8 suited. And that brings Jaime with pocket 7s. And we're seeing this 5 ways times $25. The pot is quickly $125.
Queen Jack 4 here, a couple diamonds. This has really missed everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Jaime's got the best hand, but how does he know that?
Everyone's going to check here.
Wow.
Turn is a 9. It's a third diamond, and now Aaron has the best hand with the nut diamond draw.
Yeah, Aaron's got the best hand, best draw. Let's see if he puts some money in the pot.
Well, he checks it, and now Chuck says, you know what? If no one wants this, I'm going to bet. Now, Chuck has a garbage gut shot here to the 10 that would give anyone else a higher straight with a king, and there's 3 diamonds on it.
Yeah, I'm real surprised Aaron did not bet the turn there. He has the ace of diamonds.
Well, he's actually check raising all in here.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, he's going to check raise all in.
That's a strong play, obviously. I was going to say the ace of diamonds alone would probably be strong enough to bet it. He happens to have a 9 as well.
Whoa.
And he showed it, Dave, and Chuck said I had worse than that. So. Button's going to move over to seat 9. That's George.
Get a question here from Greg Lester. And keep the questions coming in, the emails coming in, because we have a new segment on Live at the Bike called The Inside Straight, and it's going to be coming to the website fairly shortly, where we answer a lot of the questions.
Let's take a look at another chip count here. Jaime destroying the table. We've got almost 7,000 on the table. Let's see what these players are doing since the buy-ins at the beginning of the show.
Wow.
Jaime up $1,350. That's a big score in this game.
Oh, it's huge.
Yep.
Remember, he only bought in for 500, folks. He's almost quadrupled his money. And you see the table is up $1,900, and that's because a couple players have left. The people have lost. John Borhaus, who donated $1,000 to the cause to everybody else.
Got a raise here by Craig with ace 4 clubs. George is going to call with 10-8 offsuit on the button, and Chuck is trying to figure out, does he want to get involved with this trap hand out of position here? And he's going to make the call.
Yep. Out of position with that hand, you can be in trouble.
Here we go to the flop.
Well, that flop probably won't get you in much trouble with King Queen, huh?
Let's see if Craig can make a continuation bet here. He does, and he's probably going to take it down.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Well, he's got the best hand.
Wow, look at this. George is going to call on the button with 8-10. Is he setting up a play?
Well, you imagine he's setting up a play. I mean, he's got no draw whatsoever.
Well, Chuck is not going to fool around with this. He's out of there.
Good player.
Well, you got to think maybe George, if it gets checked him, he's going to throw some money in. The turn's a 10, and now he picks up a pair.
Yeah.
Craig checks.
And the funny thing is, look at George. He's sitting going, man, I was going to make a move, but now I don't have to. But he's going to bet anyway. How many times has that happened to you where you think your opponent's weak, so you call with the intention of taking it away from him on the turn, and then you hit your hand?
Well, you know, also, if you think Craig's got a couple of high cards here, like Ace-King or something like that, you really do need to bet that turn.
Oh, definitely.
You don't want to keep the pot small there. You don't want, I mean, there's a bunch of cards that are going to beat you on the river.
Right.
Ace-King, whatever Broadway straight he could make as well. So it's a nice bet on the turn. And it's funny, sometimes when a 10 comes there, you know, Craig, if he had Ace-King or Ace-Queen, he might continue to bet on the turn. You never know.
Put out a little bit of a blocker bet out there, kind of naming his price because he does have a big draw.
Button's over there in Aaron's hand in seat 1. And George is going to bring this one in, as he often does with garbage here. 7-4 off suit.
He's kind of driving the table, huh? Him and Chuck.
Chuck's got a suited queen here.
And is he going to give him action? Chuck's got a lot of money behind him. I mean, he actually, remember, he's got a lot of those white chips. Yeah,
white chips are $100 chips in this game.
He's not going to get involved heads up.
The yellow chips in this game are $5 chips. The white chips are $100 chips. You see purples, they're 25s. Little blue ones are $1 totes. We're playing 300 to 500, no limit hold'em. Lines in this game are 5 and 5.
No. It's the other way around. It's completely the other way around.
Listen, you're the
Just want you to
lowest.
be able to enjoy your food.
You're the lowest maintenance person here. It's a good thing for us.
Ime's got pocket 10s here, Dave.
Let me go.
I think he just limped
More
in.
players.
Oh, maybe he was going to pull the limp re-raise. So we got four-way action here. Well, he's got an overpair to the board, 6-5-5 here.
No, not when you say check.
And Jaime's going to lead here with 10s.
That's 20.
He's going to bet 20. And Jaime's going to take it down there on that board.
And 22 Skidoo over at 2+2 has done a follow-up post about that Jewish caviar. Thank you, appreciate it.
Now, you are Jewish, Dave. Are you that religious? Do you celebrate, like, some of the... Is it fasting during Passover and that type of thing?
It's actually fasting during Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur.
It's actually one of the few holidays that I do observe as Yom Kippur.
Oh, really?
It's kind of cool. We atone for our entire year of sins in one day.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty cool, huh?
Now, you can eat, was it matzah crackers during that time?
No. Yom Kippur is a complete fast. You
What
can't
is
eat it all.
what are they?
Passover is actually you're not allowed to
Unleavened
bread. Right, exactly.
Five-way action here, limped
This is
around.
where like matzah came about, flattened matzah bread and stuff.
Ace, Queen, 6 with a couple spades. Queen 6 over there for Chuck. He's got bottom 2 pair on the button. And he checked it. Wow. On that board. Turn is a 5.
20.
Well, maybe he's hoping that George might bet in. And now, seat 5 is going to bet on a pair of 5s here. Jaime's going to bet on a pair of 5s.
And he's in really bad
And look
shape.
at this. And now, Craig is going to raise here with absolutely nothing. And now where are you with bottom 2 pair over there for seat 3?
Yeah, it really puts you in a tough spot. I mean, could you put somebody on, say, ace 5 here?
Chuck is going to call. And Jaime is going to overcall here with 4-5.
Yeah, it's easier to put somebody on 2 pair, though. Oh, wow.
Oh, the river is an ace. That's unbelievable for Chuck.
Yeah.
Let's
Obviously,
see.
well, I
Can
can't
Craig
kill this
continue to
2 pair.
bet here? Can he represent the ace that he was representing? And it gets checked down. And oftentimes you can see people will make that one move, Dave, but they're not willing to play the hand back in their head and use the river card as something that they might be able to take the pot down with.
Yeah. I mean, the way that Craig played the hand, I think he was representing 2 pair, but I think he was representing bottom 2 pair, 5, 6.
Yeah.
You know, he checked the 6, he hit 2 pair, and now he's going to raise.
And Craig got himself in kind of a world of hurt there on that turn card game.
Yeah.
And he saw that action in front of him.
But yeah, I'm not overly religious. I like to think that I'm a spiritual person, but not overly religious.
You into like the meditation thing, yoga?
I don't know if I'm really in. I mean, I'm
Does your
not.
wife do yoga?
She does. She does yoga, and I'm not into like I guess like so to speak like real like meditation, but I do my own kind of like visualization.
You'll have to clue me into that someday. George is going to raise here with 7-5 offsuit, and C2 is going to make a smooth call with ace-jack suited, and we're heads up here.
Oh, big flop for ace-jack suited, huh?
Yep.
60.
George is going to bet 60 here with nothing.
And it looks like we're going to get moved all in here by Craig Wong. Yeah.
How much more is it?
And is George pot committed here with 570?
Well, let's see how much more it is here.
40.
It's another 40, 120. And you know what? The pot is like 190, 40 to call, and he's going to make the call.
You know the amazing thing? Look how much of an underdog he is.
gonna
And Craig
gush.
doesn't have a pair.
No.
Actually, I don't think he has a good. Does he have a gut shot? No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Turns a 5, and now George picks up an offsuit 5. Oh, what a horrible beat. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you saw the odds there. I was like,
I have a pair.
That is unbelievable.
wow. For some reason, why does our computer say that Craig W is won?
Oh, he made a wheel there at the end, Dave.
Oh, I didn't even see
Yeah,
it.
he made a wheel at the end. We didn't notice it.
I was absolutely oblivious to the wheel there.
Yeah, there you go. Good thing for those computers.
Wait a second.
I still owe $5 after that.
Did they award the pot to George? Did he turn his hand over? Wait a minute. Did he turn his hand over on the table? Oh well, we're
You know what?
we're just gonna leave this alone then.
Sometimes that happens. You don't see it. I mean, obviously we didn't see the wheel, and he didn't notice it either.
Wow.
And he threw the hand away, and
I never saw the cards turned up on the table.
He might not have turned them over. And you look at that, and that is pretty much a $350 mistake by not
Unbelievable.
reading your hand right, folks.
Wow. And we didn't read it right either.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, Ronnie read it there at the end. He's like, it's a wheel, it's a wheel.
Well, I saw the check mark, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh, there it is.
Wow.
Okay. And obviously we are live. We're unedited, unscripted. We do make mistakes once in a while.
Queen 4 Jack, and it's not our place to come in and say if we didn't see the cards turned up, Dave, you know?
Well, it's odd. I mean,
I was in complete light.
if he tables his hand,
Right.
and he shows the table his hand, even if he doesn't see the wheel, it is the dealer's responsibility to
Right.
make sure it is rewarded to the right person. But if he does not show his cards, well, then obviously nobody can do anything.
Bet by Chuck here with pocket 5s, and Aaron called with Jack 10.
Yeah, and Chuck's in bad shape here, obviously. He does not have a diamond in his hand.
And now Chuck is going to put him really to the test, though. He's going to bet 100 here.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Jack 10 years. I mean, do you really want to go to war with this hand? You can't even beat a good Jack. You can only beat pretty much a naked high diamond, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have a diamond in his hand. Look at how much of a favorite he is over at Chuck's
I mean,
hand.
you can beat, like, say, I'm trying to think of a hand, like,
He gets away from it.
ace of diamonds with just a, random card, ace 10 or something like that.
Now, it's interesting because we've had situations here where it hasn't necessarily made the rules about, say, instant replay poker. But say that C2 would have been ejected and the cards were up on the table and Brian mucked the hand. I think that is something that's a retrievable hand, and because we have it on camera, I think the pot would have been rewarded.
Well,
to
it's
C2.
one of the only times why it's a retrievable
Right.
hand in our casino, and the only reason it's retrievable because it would be a dealer error.
Exactly.
And because the dealer is employed by the bicycle casino,
Right.
hence it's a bicycle casino error.
Right. Chuck's got pocket aces, and he's going to raise.
And obviously, if we could, fix that error, our own mistake, yeah, of course we will.
That's a $350 mistake there by C2. I mean, I guess it's happened to the best of us, I think.
It has. I mean, I don't know any top-notch player that's never thrown away a winner by accident.
Right.
I did it once, actually. Isaac's saying he's never done it. Oh, Isaac's saying he's done it all the time. I actually was really upset when I first started working here. I was playing a 10-20 Omaha game, and I had trip aces. I had pocket aces, and I flopped an ace, and I was getting a massage. I was really into the massage, and I was betting and some guy from across the table. I remember I was in seat 2 at a table, and somebody in seat 8 actually bet out, and I kind of crying called the river when a flush card came out. And he turned his hand over, and it was all black cards, and I assumed that I looked at it, and I thought he had a flush, and I mucked my 3 aces.
Yeah, Omaha is something you just turn your cards up, man, on the table.
I thought I saw the flush cards, I just didn't see it right. And I basically threw away about $200 there. I was so pissed off. I kind of vowed never to have a massage while I was playing poker again.
7-5-5 here on the flop. Well, C8's going to lead it here with 7-3 for $15. And he's got the best hand.
Yeah, chicken.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bother getting
And it's one of those, I'm actually surprised. A lot of people get massages while they're playing, and I kind of wonder. I'm like, does that take away from your focus at all? I mean, I know you do occasionally.
whatever. So I figured I was in for 20.
Yeah, I do sometimes. I mean, I got to tell you, you're right, though. Especially playing in bigger no-limit games, it's just can sometimes be kind of an over-distraction.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I mean, I know a lot of players do it. I was just
You haven't
wondering.
really seen me do it that much lately when I'm playing in that bigger
Yeah,
game.
I was just.
Yeah. Wow,
Some
Chuck's
players
got
do it.
pocket aces again.
Wow.
And why not keep raising? He's going to raise to 40 here. Now, ace queen for Ida, she's going to call.
And if she catches an ace or a queen, she might go broke.
Yep.
She's a pretty aggressive player.
And this is how you really play your hands aggressively when you're an aggressive player. Keep raising. Why
Yeah,
not?
why not?
No.
Exactly.
What you could live
Yep.
with is,
Ida catches a naked queen here. This could be fireworks. Here we go to the flop. Oh, it's a king. Well, that's pretty easy to get away from for ace
Yeah,
queen.
I just got nothing here.
Yeah. Chuck's going to lead here.
75.
But again, you know, by driving forward here with this table, we saw it last week with a guy in C4. I think it was Rahid against Kenna James. A player like Ida, who you usually never see make a move, she might take a stand one time and say, you know what, I'm going to raise here with ace queen because I don't think you have anything.
You're
You know what I
100%
mean?
right. I was talking about my game last night because it was really interesting because I'm sitting in a game with Gord. It was just like I was saying, it was such a passive table. There was actually a point where I won 8 hands in a row.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and the funniest thing is that a couple of guys at the table during that run were remarking, what are you going to win every pot?
Right.
And one of the guys made a stand, and it happened to be one of the times I actually had a hand. You know, and you never know. Obviously, I didn't have a hand all 8 times, but if you keep pushing forward, somebody might make a move when you really do have a hand.
Seven-way action here. 6-6-5, and Ida's got trip sixes.
And if she slow plays this, she might get herself in a world of hurt here because Aaron and Craig both have
Yep.
gut shots.
She's going to check it, Dave. She checks it, and it gets checked around.
Well, that's a safe card there for her.
Turns a 9. No one has 7-8, luckily for her.
No, is George going to get involved here with 9-8, though?
Hey, check back to me, I'll bet.
He's got a pair with a gut shot as well. God, a lot of gut shots out there. A 4 would have brought a gut shot for Aaron. A 3 would have brought a gut shot for Craig. But obviously a 3 wouldn't have been helpful because Ida would have had a full house.
Yeah,
and
we're
a
going to bet
7 would have
75
George.
here by Ida.
And is George going to get involved here with 9-8? I mean, you can't beat 7-8 here. You can't beat a 6. You can't beat a real 9. But it looks like he's going to call.
No, he's not going to call. I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Let's see. I mean,
You gotta
especially when we know how Ida plays, there's just nothing you can beat when she bets there. 'Cause she wouldn't probably bet anything worse than 8-9. And that's
Well,
fine.
exactly. That's what you got to look at. I mean, even if she's got 10-9, you're out kicked.
And she's not going to make any money off of it.
No. Obviously, a 3 on the turn would have been a magical card because Deuce 4 would have made a straight.
Yeah.
She would have made a full house.
That's top pair.
I want to put this over here.
A 4 also would have been a magical card because somebody else would have had a set of 4s, had a full house. She would have had trip 6s and somebody else would have made a straight.
Please continue to play the same way as far as I can.
Yes, you got it.
Take care, man. Thanks for everything.
Getting word from our producer, she actually checked out the replay.
Yeah, replay's just going on our 5-minute delay now.
Yeah, and
You can't see if he turned the cards over or
I
not.
like it.
well, Brian's usually really on top of it. I would bet that.
I would
She
think that
did
if
not
Brian
show.
saw the cards,
Yeah.
that, I think, and I don't think he showed the cards because I remember that seat number 9 said, I have a pair. So there you go. I mean, I think maybe C2 just kind of shook his head and said,
Yeah.
I missed my draw.
You know, the funny thing is,
Yeah, we're going to hit that jack.
now normally, seat number 2 here, Craig, will never know he gave away $300. It's not like you and I are going to go out there and tease him, right?
Right.
But if he goes home and watches the show tonight or tomorrow, he's going to hit himself in the head, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you got to start playing those.
8-4 clubs here for George is going to limp in.
What'd she look like when she said that? I just couldn't see her.
Just laughing at it.
Okay,
4-way action here, limped around. 1-2-8 here on the flop.
15.
And George is going to bet 50 here with middle pair. Looks like he's got the best hand there. 8-4.
I think you got this hard counterfeit with your ace, man. That's
Oh.
I thought you were
ABH on
When
the
have I
flop.
ever seen an ace?
I'm saying Omaha terms. ABH.
When
Maybe
have I said you should see the kicker?
H is 8.
I think of that one with the 8th letter.
Oh, I
I'm still
got
not
you.
even sure if that's.
He just
Yeah.
like picked up with that.
I mean, is that Omaha terminology?
No, I
there?
don't think you ever use H. It's usually ABCD.
Right. Somebody goes, man, I guess you could hand that ABC. You go, no, I had AH, F.
All we're doing is math at this point. I don't see any
Button moves over to seat 2.
profits at all. You picked on the wrong people.
King Queen suited there for Ida. She's going to limp in seat 6.
Yeah, a couple of spots, King Queen. King Queen offsuit actually in seat 3.
What is it, 5? All right, they suckered me in.
And seat 8's got a suited ace. Seat 9 comes in with Queen 8 suited. So we got 3 queens accounted for here.
Oh,
And Chuck's going to raise it out of the small blind with King Queen offsuit. He's going to make it 30. And again, I always wonder about this play, Dave, because he's not driving anybody out of the pot, right? He's going to get called in 3 spots, and he's going to have to play this hand out of position for the rest of the hand.
No regret. That's all I'm asking.
We're going to see 5-way action here. King 7-5. What a flop for Ida. And George checks top pair. He raised it and he checked it. And Ida checked it as well.
Now, this is
Are you
interesting.
kidding me?
If Ida and Chuck go to war here, Ida is on a pure free roll,
How
folks.
did Ida not bet that? The turns is 6.
Wow, that's a scary card there. I mean, you got a couple of open-ended straight draws now.
And Ida just thought she was slow playing, and she's going to move all in here. And we got a slow player on the table, folks, as we say. Wow.
And if you sometimes we always say the same things over and over again.
If you bet your hand, you would have,
Yeah, if you want to win a
And
big
Chuck
pot,
might
you
not
got
even
to
get
build it
involved
yourself.
now. You know what? Chuck might not even get involved now.
Of course not. You can't beat 2 pair. You
Right.
can't beat 8-9. You can't beat anything. What can you beat? And you think she's making this move with King Jack?
I still don't understand how people think that slow playing gets you the most money.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy laydown for Chuck
Yeah.
now.
Well, you have to give her.
I mean, all you can beat is King Jack, King 10, and King 9. Is she really making this move with a hand as weak as that?
Nope. She's on a total free roll here.
Yeah, and if he calls, I mean, I think he knows this is a hand he needs to get away from. Especially because he slow played it.
The thing was played so odd. He raised out of the blind with King Queen off, and then he checked the flop, and it went check around.
And he hits his hand and he checks it.
I mean, if Ida had bet the flop, he might have check raised the flop, and all the money might have gone in. Now she's given him an opportunity to get away from the hand
And he
because of
calls.
the fact. Wow, he's gonna call.
We have jacks. and
Wow, that is unbelievable.
Now, the funny thing is, on the flop, and she's on a complete free roll here, club, and she wins it, everything else, and they chop it up.
Here we go to the river. Nope, same hand.
Yeah, and they're going to chop this up. Now, the interesting thing is, like you said, if Chuck bets the flop, she raises, he might go all in with a hand as weak as King
No,
Queen
but
there.
the way the hand played out, if Chuck checked like he did, she bets, he might raise.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
And then she might move
Well,
all
all
in.
the money got in there anyways, but Chuck really should have folded on the turn. I mean, that was just almost like a frustration
The
call.
turn is the ugliest card in the deck there.
Yeah.
6.
I can't believe you made the call there.
So easy for her to have 2 pair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he could have been drawing dead. She could have had a straight already. Now, we got a post here from B Cook on 2+2. He said, George said, oh, runner, when he saw the wheel. So the cards had to have been turned up. Not necessarily. Remember, George could have been aware that his opponent had maybe an ace.
What a flop, huh? King Queen.
And the board was 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe George noticed
Right.
that there was a possible wheel out there. So he was kind of bemoaning his bad luck, figuring his opponent had the ace, but he never saw it. I mean, how many times have you assumed your opponent had the flush draw?
Right.
The flush card came, and he
You
didn't
win
have it.
anyways.
Right. But you kind of bemoan your bad luck. You go, oh, God, I lost.
Got about a half an hour left. Live with the bike. 300 to 500, no limit hold'em. Yellow chips are $5 chips. White chips are 100.
Yeah, make sure you catch tomorrow night's
Five in the
show.
blinds.
Tomorrow night's show is our big game. It's 25-50 blinds, folks. A minimum buy-in of $3,000, but the game plays huge.
Now, we haven't seen Julian play a hand tonight, and he's got ace-king here.
God, now it means I'm gonna have to win one.
We got a little raise here by seat number 2 with Queen 10. A call by Chuck. And let's see if seat 4 raises here with the ace-king. No, he's just going to call.
Ball, please.
Two people have, we got 10-6 offsuit, 2 9-6 offsuits, and an ace-king and a queen-10.
Well, queen 10's flop the best hand.
And he's the pre-flop raiser. I mean, sometimes, Dave, I think if you know, I mean, I'm not a huge fan always of raising out of the blinds with ace-king, obviously. But if you've got guys who are constantly raising with inferior hands, you got to raise up for value sometimes, don't you?
Definitely. I mean, I think it's really important, no limit hold'em, obviously, not to get predictable. So if your basic play is, well, with ace king in the big blind, small blind, I just like to call raises. You know, maybe 1 out of 3 times or 1 out of 4 times you'll raise it up.
Right.
Play it like you've got queens or kings. You want to really keep your opponents on their heels.
That's seafood salad there. Seafood salad. Good stuff, good stuff. You know how I ordered that? I ordered that with grilled salmon on top. That becomes like some crazy
Nice order.
Seafood salad? That's good.
Buttons over there in seat 4. Email here from Jeff Arbuckle. I'll get to it in a second. From Northwestern. Another Chicago, representing Chicago.
Yeah, I love Northwestern.
You been to Chicago before, Dave?
I have.
I'm actually going to go to Chicago coming up in the next couple months if I can get one night off from Live at the Bike. I actually haven't run this by the producer yet, so.
Really?
Yeah. Mother's Day, Friday.
We need one of those.
Mother's Day, that's in May, huh?
Yeah, actually, my mom called me and said, "You want to go to Chicago for Mother's Day?" I was like, "Well, if I can get the time off, just one day."
That's actually a good idea. Well, if you pressure the producer and I pressure the producer and Isaac does it too, who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky.
Bud moves over here to seat 5.
Chuck, did you hear him? Did you hear him teasing me? He's like, is it my turn to Strava? What a tease. What a tease.
Got a great email here from Jeff Arbuckle. He talks about how some guy just gave him money online, and
everyone on the table knows that they picked up the fact that this guy would raise pre-flop, and if he hit the flop big, he would check the flop and the turn, and then bet 3 to 4 times the pot on the river.
So the guy's basically playing backwards.
Right.
Well, thanks for the email. Keep them coming.
George is going to raise it up here to 40 or 30 with ace queen. Tommy's going to call with an ace-8 suited, and Ida's in there with jack-9 and diamonds. And again, you look at Jaime not really respecting George's raise here. He's in there with a dominated ace. Oh, and here it comes. And you wonder, is Jaime going to lose a lot to George here? I would think that Jaime's a better player than that, though. We'll see.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I mean,
George's going to bet.
George plays it so aggressive, Jaime really doesn't give him much credit. He might just call him down the whole way.
He's going to bet 50. Might he actually raise here with kind of a weaker hand to see where he's at? We sometimes talk about, well, you don't necessarily always raise with top pair and no limit, but you try to find out what's going on here.
If he raises this, though, how do you like your hand if you raise queen?
He just makes the call. Pot's about $170 here to the turn. Turns a 5.
And Jaime's in bad shape, obviously. He needs an 8 and only an 8 here.
And now George is going to bet 150.
And this is the question. Now, if Jaime calls this one, how do you like ace queen? Do you continue betting it, thinking Jaime's calling you with an ace 10 or an ace jack? I mean, you think Jaime would have raised if he had ace king?
You know, if he makes this call here, I love it if I have ace queen if, say, the board pairs 7. Because then I make a huge value bet on the river.
Right. Although that with only a 5 out there, you figure most kickers are going to play anyway. But if the board pairs, obviously that's usually a safe card for you. Because if he had 2 pair, you probably would have heard from him.
And again, Jaime is not going to normally call that hand to a raise except against George. And yeah, he's going to get away from it. I knew he was going to do that type of thing. You know? I mean, that's kind of the type of thing that we were giving Mike a little bit of crap for. And you said, well, Mike's good enough to get away from top pair, but we've seen that he hasn't quite sealed up that leak in his game. I mean, you know.
We say it all the time. Some of the players in this 3 to 5 game are some of the best no-limit players here.
Right.
I mean, I would put Jaime against a lot of the big players in the bigger game.
Right.
The question is really his bankroll. Is he comfortable playing at those stakes?
Right.
You know, if you're playing at stakes you're not comfortable in, well, then everything goes out the window.
The kicker almost kicked. I put you on ace king.
Oh, yeah? You were down there, huh?
Yeah, but there. I knew you were higher.
I check, you bet hard.
No, he doesn't bet. He's a bad kicker. You just too quiet after your 150 bet. Too quiet.
All right, I gotta start talking more.
Yeah.
Limped around here. Well, it's a straddled pot. And actually, Chuck is going to raise it up to 30 here with ace jack. And you know what? Ida's going to make the call. Oh, wait a minute. She's going to re-raise. I was just going to make a comment, Dave. You know, oftentimes Ida sometimes plays it like call, call, call. But now she's actually going to re-raise. Give her credit.
I love the play. We talked about John Borhaus losing, going broke with ace-queen offsuit on the button. She's going to put the pressure on her opponents. She might not get called, and hey, if she gets called, she's in position with a pretty good
I
hand.
can't imagine that Chuck's going to call here.
And I love the play here by Ida. Really, I like it.
You know, sometimes you can even play ace-queen as almost like a re-raise or a muck. I mean, I've mucked ace-queen before to a raise.
Ace-queen offsuit and no-limit hold'em has very little value against a good player.
It's almost actually like limit, too. Ace-queen and limit can be played as a re-raise or a muck. You don't necessarily want to cold call with ace-queen offsuit, right?
Well, not a solid player.
Yeah.
I mean, if a real solid player raises an early position, and I have ace-queen in middle position, man, I mean, ace-queen's the worst hand I'll have.
Right.
You know, ace-queen suited, probably.
She let you get away from that.
You might get lucky, say 10% of the time with something like ace-jack suited, but that's about it.
Right,
Other
exactly.
than that.
You know, maybe he's got pocket nines or pocket tens,
Yeah,
but I'm
but
in a
still.
race situation anyway
Right.
there.
Not even a race because you're only seeing 3 cards on the flop, right?
Now, ace-queen suited, I'd obviously probably call there or 3-bet it. But offsuit, it's just not a hand I really want to get. I don't want to play a big pot with it.
Limped around here.
You know how I hate limpers.
It's like it's a $20 pot. And George says he
But I
hates
don't think
limpers.
he might have come in with a big hand over there.
He's not going to raise it with 8-4 this time.
Am I way off?
4-way action here. 5-6 is open ended there for Aaron in seat 1. Yeah. And Craig is going to come out and bet on the 4. He's going to bet 15.
And if Aaron raises this draw, he'll probably take it down.
And again, you see, Craig bets, George just calls. Kind of a sense of weakness. Aaron could really put a raise in there, but he just calls.
Yeah.
Anytime you get that caller in between, turns an 8, now George's got... And actually, George flopped top 2 pair, and he just called. He fills up on the turn, he checks it, and the river is a 9. I didn't notice that.
And you wonder if Aaron had caught his straight there. If a 7 or a deuce had come off, would Aaron have lost any money? And Craig is George betting this?
Yeah, George bets it. He's got the full house.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
Craig is going to make the call. Wow.
I actually mixed it up there for a second.
And Craig calls him with just a pair of 4s. That's George's image for you right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
For some reason, I actually thought Craig had the full house and George was the one with the 4.
We've seen George flop top and bottom and top 2 a couple of times tonight. Each time he's done that, he has raised. But I guess in that pot, he wanted to get tricky with it, and he just chose to call.
It's a rainbow board. I guess
flop.
he obviously didn't think of the threat of 5-6.
Yeah. And somebody was in there with 5-6.
And Abercrombie George there is really having a good showing. He's got close to $1,500 in front of him. You know, we're getting a flood of posts and emails about seat number 2 obviously not seeing the wheel and throwing away the winner. And you know what? I mean, it kind of sucks, but if you play enough poker and you're not playing online, if you're playing, I'm talking about, live poker,
yeah.
it's going to happen probably once to you. Once it happens to you once, though, it'll probably never happen again.
Yeah, it's definitely happened to me once. For sure.
The only thing I can suggest, though, is that if it ever happens to you in a live game,
This hand has way too much.
that's usually when I say, okay, I'm obviously not focused enough to play poker, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Come back tomorrow.
7-way action limped around
I
here.
checked. I got something.
7, 7, 6, and we got 7, 8 over here for seat number 7.
You look at George. George says, "I check. I've got something." Yeah, he's got a pile of crap there. He's got deuce 3 offsuit.
And look at this. He's going to lead in late position. Why not? It's a very connected board. The board is 6, 7, 7 with 2 clubs.
Yeah.
He's going to bet
The other 5.
25 here.
Well, seat number 3, Chuck's got 8, 10, and you really want to let a 9 come off
Julian
and go
was
broke
not
on
in
it.
the hand with trip 7s. It was seat number 7 who had.
Yeah, he had 7, 6. 7, 8,
We're
sorry.
waiting for everyone to raise up 100. We've been waiting for you. I've been missing it. Oh, look at that.
I cannot believe you laid
Somebody
down that
celebrating a couple of...
Button moves over here to seat 9.
I cannot believe you laid down.
What is that? Is that a chocolate banana?
Nice feathers.
Live straddle here by Chuck.
Have you ever driven around in L.A. and you've seen those big billboards of Angeline? I think that's her name, right? Angeline, she drives a big pink Corvette. Some rich guy puts her these billboards. Ida kind of looks like her.
Yeah?
Yeah.
70.
Ida's going to race to 70 with Queen Jack suited here. Well, it is a straddle pot.
7 times the big blind. It's a pretty big raise. But the game is kind of playing like a 5-10 game. She's got to play it that way.
Now, obviously, Jaime is limped in with ace-10. Obviously, he's not going to get involved against Ida there. Ida takes it down. Again, Dave, there isn't a whole lot of value in stealing dead money and no limit if it's just blinds, even in the straddle pot. I mean, okay, if you get a couple callers in the straddle pot, yeah, you can raise and steal a little bit, but still, if you're going to get called in a couple spots here with Queen Jack out of position, it's trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just play a little devil's advocate in the sense that if it's a straddled pot, you suddenly get one caller. Suddenly you're looking at, if you take this game, or let's say you take to the 10-20 game, suddenly you're looking at $40, $20. You're looking at $110 in dead money. And if you're a real tight player, like some of the players we have, like let's say like a Kenny Wynn,
right,
you have to steal once in a while.
Right, he does.
While you're waiting for your big hands.
We get a raise here by George to 45 with Queen 10 off suit. And the button's going to call with a suited ace-8 of clubs.
49.
And Ida's got ace-10 offsuit over there. Is she going to make the call? She limped in. Nope. Michael's not going to call with a little suited connector there, Dave. Seat 7. And we're heads up, Queen 10 against ace-8 of clubs.
And from what I've seen in Michael's game, he seems like he overvalues some of those like big kind of Broadway hands. And look at that, he had 4-5 of hearts.
Wow, what a huge flop that would have been. And George hit top pair. I mean, that's the type of hand you'd like to be in there with 4 or 5 of hearts, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how many players called. But yeah, I mean, I've always said I'm a big fan of 4-5 suited.
Really?
Yep.
Again, say play devil's advocate there, and I'm Mike, and I flop that flop. There's a couple different ways to play it. I guess you could check raise, George, but you also, your hand is big enough where you could lead. He could raise, and you could move over the top of him. And he's not going to call with Queen 10. Now, the question is he the type of player that might get away from an overpair there in that spot?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We were talking about it earlier. I was saying if you want to be successful on no-limit hold'em, whether it's like tournaments or cash games, you've got to be willing to kind of, put your balls out there, on the chopping block. You've got to be willing to risk a little bit. And you kind of, let's say you were to bet with 4-5 there. You get called, you get raised, and then you re-raise all in. Well, you've got a huge amount of fold equity. And if you get called by, let's say, pocket aces, well, you've got a lot of cards that can help your hand. Obviously, any heart, any 4, any 5 would make you.
George is at it again. He's going to raise it up to 40 here with pocket 9s. And Aaron's going to call with Jack 9. And, wow, C2's in there with the suited ace 5. And we're going to see three-way action here. About $120 pot here. Here we go to the flop. Wow, nut flush for Craig here.
Yeah, nobody's got much of anything. You imagine this is going to go. Let's see how Craig plays it on the button. It's one of those times I think he didn't put any money in there.
Turns a 4. Now pocket 9s is going to bet 60.
Well, he's induced that bluff. And might you make it 120 here? And he is going to raise it a little bit. Just kind of build yourself a pot.
He's going to make it 100 more. And this almost smells like a flopped flush to me.
Yeah, either that or a 4.
Time.
Yeah, how do you like your 9s now, buddy? Now, this is actually one of the rare times where I don't want the 9 of spades in my hand. Because if the 9 of spades were to come out, it might make somebody with the ace of spades a flush, and I would have a full house. Reel him in. Now, if the board is not paired, obviously, I need the 9 of spades in my hand, because if I hit my set, if I get lucky and hit my 2-outer, I don't want it to make somebody else a flush.
George can't beat a flush. He can't beat a king. He can't beat trip 4s. I don't really know what he's thinking about here.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got to realize that he's got 2 outs and 2 outs only.
And Craig hasn't been making any moves on anybody all night.
Nah.
I mean, sometimes it's like, you talked about it sometimes, that some of these players want to win every single hand, and they're not necessarily trying to figure out who they're playing against in the hand.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not playing against Chuck here. This guy hasn't made a move all night long.
Well, you know what? Maybe George is hoping that Craig will throw away the winner again.
Well, that's always something.
Yeah. He's thinking, okay, well, there's no fold equity.
Right.
I could always hit my 9. And, hey, Craig, maybe there's 20% chance Craig throws away the winner.
I think Craig knows what he has this hand, though.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Okay, I can't put you on a hand. I gotta put you on.
Wow, this is unbelievable. He moves all in here, Dave. I just don't know sometimes what's going through some people's heads.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we can see the cards. And if George watches this, it's easier for us, but at the same time,
I mean, the
gotta
guy
be paying
checks the turn and then
attention.
raises the. I mean, checks the flop and then raises.
Well, the river's a 4th spade. Now, he could have won if he caught the 9, but
Yeah, either 9 obviously
Yeah.
would have been good for him. 9 of spades, or the 9 of hearts.
I mean, even if he was doing it with a king with a high spade, there's just nothing that 9 can beat out there.
Actually, he actually had 2 more outs. I'm sorry, he actually had 4 outs there. Any 4 would have
That's
done it
right.
as well.
That's right.
I can put him on. Ace of spades.
Would have been 4s full of 9s.
Yeah.
Oh, back call, back call. Flop the nuts.
Once again, we're live at the bike, folks. I'm David Tuckman here with Bart Hansen. You can catch us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 Pacific time.
You know, I think maybe one of the reasons why, Mike is really apt to call down a lot, maybe that's why
Corporation Mike we're talking
Yeah,
about.
and that's why maybe George felt it too, is because they're so aggressive, they think that maybe people are putting moves on them.
Well, of course.
You know what I mean? And that's why it's really difficult for them to lay a hand down.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to realize that they know what their image is like.
Right.
So people are more apt to make moves against them. And they're obviously, because of their image, they're going to have to call down more often. But in the end, you still need to get away from hands.
Limped around, and I can tell you, Chuck's got ace queen on the button. He's not going to limp in here. He's going to thin the field out a bit. He does.
Yep.
That's a good raise.
Pretty straightforward there. In position with a premium holding.
He's going to make it 50 more.
And you know what? He gets rid of the hands that you don't want pocket 3s in there. It's the kind of hand that you can't see. If he hits a set, you're probably going to go broke.
Now, Aaron's got a little suited connector.
Right.
It's 50 more. I don't know if he has enough, and he's not going to get it.
Yeah. And you don't mind if you take it down there. And if somebody calls you, okay, well, great. I got a big hand, and I'm in position.
And I think we're actually going to see one of the last chip count of the night here. Yeah. Last
This is
chip
it.
count of the night.
And is the big winner going to be Jaime, or is it going to be George in seat 9? Probably Jaime now, right? George pretty much gave away a couple $100 there. Button moves over to seat 4. And there it is. Yeah, Jaime's a big winner,
Now
obviously.
remember, we started the game at 5,000, and 2,200 has been brought onto the table. Let's take a look at the differences here from the beginning of the night. Well, Jaime is still the big winner.
Big winner. George also a big winner, over $750.
I don't know if that last hand was incorporated into the chip count, though, Dave. Oh, it was. Okay.
So he was up over $1,000 before that
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, that's right. And C2 only had about 300. Now he's got over 6
Yeah.
or so.
And obviously lost his first buy-in, but he's kind of making a little bit of a comeback.
We got a little raise here by C2 with ace queen, I believe. Chuck's going to call him a jack in the hearts. Pocket 6s over there for seat 8, and ace 5 for George. Here we go to the flop. 5-4 deuce. Well, Craig's got an over cards and a gut shot to the 3, and George has top pair. Craig's going to leave here. Now, if you're George, are you going to get involved with this hand? I don't really know what he's doing in there with the raise pot with ace 5 off from early position anyway.
And you got to be aware that you've got a gut shot, but if a 3 comes off, it brings a one-liner to anybody with a 6. And is that a kind of hand you want to get involved with?
A bet here by Craig, and let's see what George is going to do. He is not going to get involved with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone else is going to get involved either.
It's 4s or deuces?
You know, it's funny, you were talking before about people asking us, wow, what an advantage you guys have watching all these players.
Right.
And you correctly said, actually, our big advantage is the experience that we get by watching
Yeah,
this.
it's not because I know how to play this guy better because I've seen him on the show, and therefore I go and kill him out in the game in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because everyone else has the same opportunity to watch this as us. And I think players actually make a concerted attempt to change up their games a little bit.
Right.
Too. Yeah, it is the experience and kind of the know-how in applying these types of theories to different situations, obviously, right?
I will go as far as saying, whether you like our commentary or not, even if you absolutely hate our commentary, I would venture to say that watching our show is the best educational poker forum that's out there.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if you go spend $3,000 at Phil Hellmuth's poker camp or Doyle Brunson poker
And
camp.
even watching those tournament TV shows, that doesn't give you any info about how to play tournaments. It's all edited and chopped up and stuff.
Right,
You know.
you're basically seeing the ESPN highlights.
Right.
You can get the same info, like try to figure out how to play baseball while watching ESPN.
Right. The highlights. Right.
Yeah. Obviously, you're not going to get anything from that.
We got an open raise here by seat 8, Craig, with Queen Jack of clubs. Now, Ida calls in the small blind with Ace Queen. She's got him dominated. 5-way action, $100 pot. Well, there's the ace. Let's see how Ida's going to play this here, Dave, with Ace Queen. Is she going to lead out here? And again, I think you can tag her as kind of the type of player that will lead out with a little bit of a mediocre hand, but might even check raise a hand as, as strong as Ace King or set here in this spot. She's going to bet 150.
Right. Pretty straightforward. I mean, I know I'm biased, obviously. I really am a big fan of the show. But anybody who's watched our show over the past year, and if you're just tuning in for the first time or the second time, give us a chance for a month, okay? And I guarantee you, if you watch this a couple of times a week, your game will improve tenfold.
Nice ten.
Shameless self-promotion.
Thank you. Oh, no, thank you.
But moves over here to seat 6.
I'm even saying, like, even if you hate the commentary, even if you want to turn us off, mute us. I don't care. It's the show that sells itself. I speak the truth, man. That's all it is.
Voice the
Live at the bike, politically incorrect. Keep it real. And we got quickly a $60 pot, folks.
6-way action here. I think it was straddled around. Ace 8-6 with a couple of hearts. Ace 4 of diamonds over there for.
And not a real good flop
Craig.
for Ace 4 there, but he's probably the best hand.
Yeah, he's going to throw a little feeler bet out here. He bets 25.
It's kind of one of those, I'll bet and hope nobody calls me.
Well, seat 7 here is going to call. He's got a flush draw and middle pair. His hand is really big enough to make a move on.
Yeah, and if he makes a move, he can probably get rid of Ace 4.
Now he's got 2 pair and a flush draw. And now he's going to come out and lead. And now you
Actually,
excuse me.
You got the flop wrong.
No, the flop is actually Ace 8-6.
Right.
So he has not made trips, but he's got a pair
Now
now.
he's
and
made a
flush
pair.
draw. But Craig still has the best hand.
But now he's come out and bet when the 10 hit. The flop is actually Ace 8-6 with 2 hearts,
Right.
10 on the turn. And I like the bet here by Michael. And look at that, Ace 4 hits the muck.
Yeah.
The power of betting your semi-bluff.
I'm going to flog that Ronnie. Take him outside here. It's not
Oh,
a flush
man.
draw.
Maybe we can impale him with a 75-foot...
There it is. Look at that. He made the correction.
There you go.
Butt moves over here to seat 7. Hey, I tried doing that card thing once a couple months ago. I couldn't even get 2 cards up there. Like the whole hand had gone on. I got 2 cards up.
Maybe we'll have fun. Maybe one night we'll switch
man.
jobs. Isaac and Ronnie can do the commentary, and we'll do the
yeah.
we'll do the camera work and the cards.
Yeah.
Ray can produce.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll put Evelyn in the game. Evelyn can play.
Right. There you go.
Oh, Evelyn can be Rick.
Yeah.
What exactly does Rick do?
4-way action here. Seat 9's got 6-3. He's got middle pair and he's open-ended.
Yeah.
And George is going to come out and bet 20 here.
6-3 there in seat 9.
The button's going to call here in seat number... Well, seat 7's got pocket 7s, and seat 8's going to call with ace 10. Well, the turn is in 8 here. Again, we get 6-3 pocket 7s and ace 10.
Yeah, the only consequential hand is not up there, folks. It's 6-3. There it is.
Oh. He's going to bet again.
There it is, folks.
He bet $60.
I love riding him, man. It's so much fun.
And Michael here is going to call again. Michael did not raise the flop, and he's just going to call out here again, Dave.
Yeah, and he's got the best hand,
He's
obviously.
draw heavy.
George's got a lot of cards that can help him, obviously. Any 7, any deuce,
Yeah.
any 3.
Here we go to the river, and the river is a 5, and that's not a helper.
Wow.
Now, you might get scared, though, because if he came out and bet, if he was betting with top pair, you can't beat it with 7s.
Yeah.
now.
What can you beat with 7s here?
He's going to bet 60 now, and Michael gets rid of the hand. And George is going to take it down.
And by playing your 7 somewhat passively, you never know where you're at, and you get scared out of the pot.
This is going to be the last hand of the night, Dave. Thank you all for joining us again for another exciting night of Live at the Bike. We'll be back here tomorrow for 25.50 no limit, uncapped buy-in. Look at that. We'll post Angeline on 2+2.
Thank you very much, Johnny.
I had bottom pair with a deuce kicker, man. Straight draw, flop. Probably would have gone all in.
I think I might have called you on that one.
6-7?
No.
Count
Top
one,
pair open-ended.
Once again, if you have any specific strategic questions about No Limit Hold'em or any poker game at all, including Omaha, Bart's a big Omaha player, send in your questions to live@thebike.com because we're going to be trying to answer them in the inside straight.
Four-way action here, limped around. King 9-8 with a couple of diamonds. Doesn't look like it hit anybody. We got 3 ace rags in the hand. And C-Date's going to bet 50 here on the button.
Yeah, why not take a shot at it on the
15,
button?
excuse me.
And that's going to get it done.
And he's going to take it down, and that's going to do it for us
That's it, huh?
tonight. Again, thank you for joining us. Same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow night for everybody here in the booth. I'm Bart Hanson. This is Steve Tuckman. Good night, everybody, from Live at the Bike.
Good night. It's been fun. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock.
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the Bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.